You are ready to make new plans for the future. It's likely something you've never done before, and a full moon in Cancer Monday night pushes you over the edge. It's Friday. Keep streaming for Namaste Today Live. Hello, my earthly neighbors. Welcome to Namaste Today Live. My name is Sensei Christopher Witecki, a cosmic comedian here to teach you, coach you, and inspire you into the most serious joy you've ever experienced in your life. We're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, X.com, Instagram, and even LinkedIn. And if you're in our chat room tonight, say hello to your cosmic cousins and tell us where you're chatting from and what your astrology sign is. This week, our top astro headlines are: we have a full moon on Monday that may change your feelings about the future and is really to the final line. The North Node will move into Pisces for the first time in 18 years. And with the South Node in Virgo, you can say goodbye to what you call reality. And the Sun opposes Mars, creating a tug-of-war between the heart and ego. Then later tonight on Astro MINGLE, clairvoyant, astrologer, tarot master, intuitive empath, Jerry of the Tarot Ship is here. And we're going to talk shop about everything under the sun. But before we do, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is for Saturday, January 11th to Friday, January 17th, 2025. Looking first at the weekend forecast, over the weekend you will do an emotional spin and perhaps a minor breakthrough, but in the end you'll find yourself with a better plan. On Saturday, it's sunny and liberated. The conscious step is step 21 when it starts to get fun. Jupiter is ruling the day, meaning you are learning, expanding, researching, and finding answers that you need. You're going to decide that you matter, and you're going to feel infinite possibilities. Also, big news alert, the North Node enters Pisces at step 29. On Sunday, it's cloudy and dynamic. Step 22 means Uranus rules the day. Expect a minor breakthrough that will lead to better love. You're looking for the direction that is a perfect match. And with Mars trining Neptune, it means it's also a change of fate. Zipping ahead now to the 5-day weekday forecast, over the upcoming business week, you will start the week with a firm view and a full moon, and end the week with action. On Monday, it's cloudy but tense. Step 23 says Mercury rules the day. You'll be in your mind, pensive, communicative. It's time to decide that you know, and time to declare it. And with a full moon in Cancer, apexing at 5:25 Eastern Time, you're emotionally processing feelings about the future and coming up with a revised plan that feels better. On Tuesday, it's cloudy and a little anxious. Step 24 means that Venus rules the day, so you're opening up your heart and trying to accept the given plan. It's actually a character-building moment, and with Venus squaring Jupiter, it all makes sense. On Wednesday, it's partly cloudy and rejoicing. Step 25 indicates that Neptune rules the day. Expect to be a little cloudy, but psychic and have some intuitive insights. Pay attention to the spiritual learning. Eventually, you'll decide you have to surrender and commit to trusting your heart. And with the Sun opposing Mars, there may be a tug-of-war between the ego and what you love. On Thursday, it's sunny and idealistic. Step 26 means Saturn rules the day. This is the final Grandmaster day of the Capricorn season, and on this day you will decide to devote to the new plan. And be mindful that self-love is necessary. But caution, once the moon goes into Virgo, you may have some doubts. And then on Friday, it's sunny and surreal. Step 27 indicates that Mars retrograde rules today. It's time to engage, although a different way, and you're going to go with your heart's opinion, perhaps over common sense. And with the Sun sextiling Neptune, you're realizing a new fate. Please be kind and do subscribe if you're watching on YouTube to our flagship channel, Sirius Joy TV. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And if you don't mind, please like this video right now so the algorithm will suggest us to other people. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or otherwise, please go ahead and hit the like button for us, and we'd love to see your comments tonight. Namaste Today Live is sponsored by Countdown 2025, the SenseiChristopher.com special. This is my once-a-year webinar where I dive deep for about 2.5 hours of straight lecture, talking about what you can expect for the upcoming year. And my specialty and what I feel is that astrology should be useful. So I'll be bringing you all sorts of dates that you want to focus on. We'll report hazards, and we'll dive down for all 12 signs. It's not too late. We go live tomorrow. You get a link tonight if you buy. Visit SenseiChristopher.com. And now for our planets and transits. First of all, welcome everyone. It's a great energy today, but we want to also say and send prayers to everybody in Los Angeles and my friends especially who are literally packing up their homes right now and worrying. It's part of what we've been going through, and it seems like no one is getting an escape from some of these hazards and things that are happening on the earth. But let's just all send our prayers and our love, and hopefully it will turn out in the best way possible for each person watching and our family. It's an interesting time, guys. We are in Capricorn, and it's a unique Capricorn season because, I've been saying this a lot, this is the first time in 15 years Pluto's not in Capricorn. And Pluto, as you'll know, we're going to have Sun cross Pluto next week. Pluto can be really disturbing when it's in a sign, and it really doesn't ever make you feel solid, ever. So honestly, for the last 15 years, I don't think we have felt solid about our decisions. I don't think we've felt solid about the direction we were probably choosing and hoping for the best, right? This is the first year where we can really make decisions based on changing our life. And Pisces energy, Saturn and Neptune working on us for a long time, has cleared a lot of our shadow. It's cleared our lack of faith. We've addressed past life fears. And so we're not projecting that old stuff onto our decisions. This week is a powerful week because this is the big week where, in one sense, we have a full moon on Monday that will probably at least update your plans. You'll probably realize that feeling through your feelings of that full moon, that perhaps there's something else you should consider. And Capricorn's an energy that's real easy to ignore our feelings and just be cold business. So I'm expecting a pretty big change, or at least an upgrade to your plans between Sunday and Tuesday. That's a big thing. The other aspect is that we hit step 26 Capricorn this week. That's a Grand Master degree of Capricorn. That means that you are going to make a devotion. You're going to realize you have to sail a certain direction. You're going to hopefully feel in your heart. We'll talk about that. And this, again, because of this unique Capricorn year, is probably a time where you can make profound change. It's quite possible that the choices you're going to make this week is something that you never imagined, a complete surprise. I've actually heard so many stories of jobs ending this week. People, Capricorn is business, and it is also the formality of life. And so a lot of formal things have happened, including people suddenly deciding to relocate. I know a couple stories of people moving out of houses, of roommate situations. So there's a lot of change, and that's going to probably be the basic. Now, we'll also talk about this, but we have another phenomenon this week, and that's the North Node moving into Pisces. Big deal. For one, it hasn't happened in 18 years. That's the cycle of a North Node return. For two, it means it's go time when it comes to a spiritual destiny. A lot of us have been destined for certain things. And it's funny, talking to clients, it's the same as it feels for me, which is there were things when I was young, when I was a kid, that I would dream about or think about. And then, you forget it. You just sort of put it aside. Life gets busy and you realize that maybe it's not in the cards. But I'm hearing a lot of stories where people are saying, I'll be darned, I am going to write a book. Oh my gosh, I am going to go, live in the woods. It wasn't a fantasy. What it was is your own intuitive understanding that you had this mission. So the North Node in Pisces means that we're going to be listening to our intuition. It's at 29 degrees right now, so there may be some cautionary stuff. I mean, honestly, what's going on in LA is very North Node in 29. It's kind of hazard and reminds you of karmic times when things went wrong. But the South Node in Virgo means that we'll be stepping away from a reality or a lifestyle or a health condition that we might have had for a long time. And that's going to be kind of paradoxical because on the one hand, everyone wants life to change. On the other hand, when it changes fast, it kind of can pull away your strength or your confidence. Another thing going on this week, of course, is Mars retrograde. And it's been retrograde for a long time. The retrograde in Cancer, though, is stirring emotion. And what it's doing is it's revealing where we're not so good at responding to our feelings. So you are going to be triggered, and especially with the full moon in Cancer, which will, of course, cross over Mars at one point. You can expect at least one moment where there's some emotional release. And the test will be how well you respond to those feelings. Now, in the big context of things, all this preparation with the Sun in Capricorn is us really making sense out of chaos and trying to direct our life in the right direction. Every year, we have these plans in January, Capricorn, and it's not till the Sun's in Cancer, the opposite sign, that you really feel if it's going to work out or not. Sometimes, for me, it doesn't even start until Cancer. But this year, there's an extra added bonus. That's Pluto in Aquarius. We'll talk about this next week. We've been talking about it. But Pluto in Aquarius says that, at least this week right now at 1 degree, the self-love has got to go up. You're going to find that if you don't raise your vibration, if you don't love yourself on a higher level, in some cases, you won't even see new options. In other cases, you won't choose optimistically, or you won't have the strength or confidence to do the job. And in many cases, if you're in dysfunctional situations, they'll likely break down. That's the thing about Pluto. It will break down situations. And it doesn't break down situations always directly. For instance, if you have a relationship that is distracting you from loving yourself, where you're just giving all the time and never receiving, oftentimes whatever's in the way of the self-love will break down in itself. Jobs will break down, cars will break down, anything will break down. And as the Sun gets closer to Pluto at the end of this week and ends Capricorn, that sort of gravity starts to build. And so you may expect some breakdowns incredibly quick. It's going to be, I think, an interesting year, by the way. I was talking about the Sensei Christopher webinar at Countdown 2025. And really this entire year launches from these Capricorn decisions. What's important is to listen to your intuition. We have Venus in Pisces right now, so our eardrum is really close to the ceiling of heaven. It's easier than usual to receive messages, and they will overcome you in some cases. Also, you should know with Venus in Pisces that sometimes what you're picking up on is not you. So you want to ask yourself, is this me? Are these feelings coming from me? Because Venus might be picking up on something in your environment, or you might be also opening to past life residue and things you've repressed. So it can cause some confusion, but I always look at Venus as a kind of a magnifying glass. And in fact, it looks like it with the symbol. So when you focus on a certain thing, you'll get a strong answer. So it's a great time to pray. But Saturn and Neptune in their degrees is saying that we are now ready to open up to the new story. These decisions in Capricorn and this elevation of spirit in Aquarius add up to a change of our karmic destiny. And now that Saturn's at 15, we've done the hard work. And now that Neptune is continuing at 27 but direct, our destiny is moving forward. So every time you accept your faith, you follow your intuition, you own what your spirit's telling you, every time you do that, you're going to activate with Saturn a new karmic lifestyle, and with Neptune, a bigger destiny going on. It's also an interesting week simply due to where we are emotionally. It's going to be emotional. I got to tell you that right now. With the moon in Cancer and starting off in the full moon. Thank goodness, though, it won't be as emotional as it usually is with the moon in Cancer because the sun in Capricorn will stabilize it. But over a big picture of the week, it's important to understand that your feelings are going to reveal your truth. And as you're making incredible decisions that may change your life, make sure it feels right. Make sure you feel that it is in simpatico with you. And that really is the guarantee that you're on the right path. So let's talk about the week. I'm a little dry mouth. This week's theme is building emotional resilience. And that's what I was just saying. But, as far as Cancer and our sensitivity, we are learning how to get through, what's the word I'm looking for? Rites of passage emotionally. I think a lot of us have been really getting stronger at self-nurturing and emotional coping. And so up until now, a lot of our emotional growth, especially the Pluto and Capricorn, has been survival, healing, repairing situations, repairing our childhood, giving ourselves the nurturing we always needed. But another interesting fact or a trend, a conscious trend, which is something I'll be reporting on in the future now, is that now it's not about survival. Now it's about sort of, crossing the ocean on the Mayflower. Now we need emotional resilience because we're trying things we never tried. And we're going up against situations and a year that we've never been in. We talked about this last week. This is a net 9 year. Net 9 is Aries. I act, I am. Mars. Net 9 is also Saturn in Aries. Neptune in Aries. So there's a lot of aggression this year. And you must have emotional patience. You must learn how to hold the emotional tone. And with the Earth in Cancer, you want to accompany all your decisions with an emotional nurturing plan. Like, how are you going to keep yourself calm, cool, watered? How are you going to keep yourself feeling centered and grounded as you go through this matrix of change? Our subplot of the week is devoting to the plan despite the risk. Now, I say despite the risk because there's going to be. I don't see, looking at Uranus and other planets, that you're not going to take some sort of risk. We're coming out of a comfort zone. It may not be a huge risk, but the point is it has to be a calculated one. And I think we have the resources spiritually and energetically to have our wherewithal. In fact, Mars retrograde makes things a little slower, which is good and allows us to take our time. And we're not so as impulsive or defensive. But what you're really doing is you're devoting to this plan. And we're at a point where you really can't be, and this is what I talk about in the countdown, you have to know where you're going and at least plan to change your plans. But to fly without a flight plan, I think would be kind of a dangerous storm in 2025. There's just too many things that are going to kind of blow. And if you don't know where you're headed and where you want to go, you're not going to get there. The key question of the week is, what does an amazing future feel like? And I say that because two things. One, that's what we want. I think we've always been aiming to be healthy or not hurting or to, at least be away from the toxicity. But we haven't really thought about the goal. And that's what Serious Joy is about. Like, what's our goal? It's, incredible joy or at least, something amazing. So the Cancer Earth, as we were making these Capricorn calculations, it's the Cancer energy that draws in, that does the law of attraction. Most of law of attraction and abundance is based on feelings. So if you feel excited, your neighbor can feel it, your parents can feel it, everyone can feel it. They tell other people who also feel it. That's how abundance happens. That's how the law of attraction spreads its word. And so, we're coaching here at seriousjoy.com, how to kind of magnetize those feelings so you draw things in. So if you know what it feels like, I would say think about it at least 10 times a day. So let's take a look at the planets this week and the aspects going on. We'll start with, of course, the sun. I moved it here in my grid. Sorry, guys. The sun this week goes from step 21 to step 28. And 21 is when it starts getting fun. That's going to be tomorrow on Saturday, which means that, in your planning of where you want to go, there's a lot to learn still. There's some information. You might open up and do some research. On Sunday, step 22, there's a breakthrough. You'll realize that your current plans will work or you'll probably realize they're not going to work. And you'll realize that most likely from your feelings, the moon will begin in Cancer and begin to go to its full moon status on Sunday. And when that happens, you're going to get some information about whether or not things are working or they're not. So you want to pay attention over the weekend how you feel, and you want to guide yourself based on your feelings. Then on Monday, we have the full moon in Cancer at step 23. A lot of astrology programs are reporting step 24. Nope, that's not the case. It's actually 2359. 23 is a vision, your vision for the future, your attitude about the future. And you could say it's your emotional attitude too. You might realize you're optimistic suddenly, or you might have realized that you were pessimistic and you have to change that. But, you know, an emotional moon that is ruled by Mercury, step 23, and that's 5, indicates that it'll be both a mind change and an emotional change. And that is about something with you, something personal. And then the sun at 23 Capricorn will probably give you a new vision. Then we go to 24, 25, and 26. Step 26 will be on Thursday, and that's the Grandmaster step. So basically, although the full moon could throw things off, Thursday's the day you have to make your decision and be committed. And then from Friday and on to the next weekend, you're pushing through with that decision. Mercury goes from 4 to 14, Capricorn, which means that our mind is catching up. And where you're catching up with is, you know, what you have to do for you, how you have to think for yourself, how you have to think for your daily life. So as you make a different commitment change, you're probably realizing you have to sort of change your positioning in yourself and change your mental positioning or thinking or planning in daily life. Moving on to Cancer itself, the opposite sign. Mars is retrograde, of course, goes from step 28 to step 25. 28 is reconsidering how you're going to go or what you're going to manifest emotionally. And by step 25, you're probably releasing or forgiving. So the ego is going to be a bit temperamental. I think you want to focus that energy on emotions, on feeling better about yourself. And by the end of the week, forgiveness. Like, you have to let your ego be forgiven for all mistakes, 100%. We can't carry any emotional baggage with us to this new era. It's all low vibration, and it's going to hold you down. Then in Gemini, Jupiter moves from step 12 to step 11. This is significant, actually. By the way, I just recorded the Mega Monthlies with my co-host Robbie Hunt for Aquarius, and Jupiter will remain at 11 degrees for the entire Aquarius season. It will station direct, but it stays at 11. 11 is integrity. I love myself some more. So with Jupiter going to 11 and staying at 11, it tells me that you are going to learn or reposition your mind this week, and then you're going to be working to fine-tune it and come into some integrity. In other words, you'll have maybe a great idea, but you'll be working out the details to make sure that it's going to last. As I mentioned, Pluto is, we'll go to the moons. You're right. Let's go to the moons. Sorry about that. Adam's right. Looking at it emotionally, let's do the emotional thing. The moon starts in Gemini. That's where it is right now. So we're chatty and our feelings and our thoughts are bouncing off each other. We start to go into Cancer tomorrow, Saturday. And so you can expect a full moon review of your feelings about something, your feelings about yourself, your feelings about your life. This is all building up till Monday night with the full moon in Cancer. So Monday might be a bit more temperamental, although I think the net 5 is going to bring in some, rational, thinking. Then the moon, of course, will move into Leo, and Tuesday is really a whole Leo energy. So we kind of get reborn after the full moon. I think sometimes after full moons, we feel kind of shadowy and we have a hangover. With the moon moving into Leo, I think your heart, might have a sad moment if that's necessary. The sad moment might be that you have to let go of something because you're moving on. But as the moon climbs in Leo, I think our joy and our excitement just builds and builds. Wednesday night with the moon in Virgo. And then in Thursday, there might be some real critical look at some of the details. But, that moon in Virgo allows you to feel through anything you missed. And of course, remember, we're building up to a commitment, which will be on Thursday. So by Thursday, you've done an emotional audit with the details in Virgo, and you're ready to make a devotion. All right. Now on to Pluto. Pluto is direct at 1 degrees Aquarius. And this is interesting. I'm finding this and seeing this in my clients and the people I work with. And it's going all kinds of ways. People really are more aware of their heart and what their heart wants than I normally see. And I'm seeing people quit jobs because of it, because they're standing by their heart. I'm seeing people deciding to turn down things. And I'm seeing people standing up tall. So it's really important that you're in touch with your heart. Remember, the heart is the energy of ascension. And the more love you have, the more times you are in joy, the higher your vibration will go. And it's really interesting because Pluto is magnetic. And so when you command and your heart does it, you'll be surprised how people take a step back or they honor it right away. Sort of like, standing back from a dog in a yard. Like you're just like, okay, I'm not going to mess with that. But if you're having trouble, if you're finding that you're not getting options that you want, you don't know where you're going, you feel lost, you're definitely disconnected from your heart. And it's, time to do it. So be mindful of your heart, says Pluto. Now, here's a big story. I mean, Pisces energy is really starting to heat up. The North Node has now moved into Pisces. We'll move into Pisces this week at step 29. 29 is a tested step. It's also an interesting degree because anything can sort of happen. Sometimes it will bring some sort of a fear or a memory of a fear. I was saying earlier that the fires in LA are very 29 Pisces. It's sort of an alarming degree. It's when spiritual faith is pushed to the final limits. So, we may have our faith pushed to the highest limits with the North Node in Pisces. And we might find that our world is tumbling down. The South Node at 29. South Node 29 Virgo really is things falling apart. It really is reality falling apart. And I want to tell you, we've been talking about this as Serious Joy. Reality, your reality, the way you see things, that things will be coming apart. And this is not because you failed or made the wrong choice. This is the natural evolution of things. These things have to come down. Now, if it's a surprise, you obviously weren't paying attention, right? So even I have surprises. I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that. Sometimes things you thought were solid are not. And sometimes it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with people have a different story. The North Node in Pisces basically means that we all have a new story now. We have a new destiny. We have a new calling. It also means that we're connecting to higher self and focusing on higher self and allowing ourselves to be guided by higher self. So we've had Neptune and Saturn in Pisces for some time. Venus just entered more recently. But the North Node at 29 sort of sets a new tone for these planets and ultimately is where our attention goes. The North Node is energetically what we are sort of forced to pay attention to. It's kind of like a conscious stream blowing from one side to another. And so although we have these other planets fixed in the third, second, and first decan, the North Node kind of brings an extremity to it or turns up the volume. But over the week, the North Node at 29, the entire week, so there could be some major test of faith. And that major test of faith may be that you're stepping out for your own business, or you are, starting a new marriage, or you are separating. But it's a test of faith. You want to respond to your feelings, and you want to be compassionate to yourself and others. Neptune at 27 says this is all part of a higher current pushing you to a new destiny or to the next, playlist item in your spiritual playlist or your soul's playlist for this lifetime. Saturn goes from 15 to 16, and this is probably the most significant because 16 is a grandmaster step in Pisces. It means that we will have completed the transition while it's at 16 into the new destiny or into the new timeline. So, meaning that the essence of your soul is clear on what it needs to do. So for those who have been lost, I think Saturn going to 16 is going to feel really sharp. You're going to have this knowing inside yourself that this is what you're supposed to do. And I have to say and underscore, don't expect anyone around you to know it. Don't expect anyone around you to agree. I think only our most close spiritual friends will see it in us. Anything that was sort of more shallow or transaction-based or work-based may be surprised that you're having a turn of events or not, because their lives are changing too. Venus from 8 to 15, Venus is what we open up to. It's what we accept and surrender to. And so we're going to, in this week, really accept ourselves as Venus crosses from 10 to 11 degrees, really accept our soul and our relationship to ourselves. And really, if you're having a hard time forgiving yourself, it'll be the last mile of forgiving yourself. You'll really open up and feel that you can forgive yourself and let things go with yourself. By the time the Venus hits 15, it's similar. You'll be ready to be accepting of your life and accepting of the conditions of your life. And that doesn't mean you're going to let them stay the same. It just means that you're no longer to blame God or feel like you've had an unfair hand. You're going to be ready to accept the terms and conditions of what's coming next. In Taurus, Uranus is at a steady step 23. And the significance of this is that the full moon at 23 Cancer is opposing the sun at 23 Capricorn, which is then trining Uranus at 23 Taurus. So this is some grandmaster planning going on, business planning, vision planning. 23 is the vision. So likely you're going to upgrade in this 1 week your vision of what you're devoting to. And with Uranus, your intentions to innovate, break down, or build something. And that's what Taurus consciousness is. This is the blueprint, step 23. This is the strategy. This is the plan. This is the business plan changing as well and making modifications. So stay flexible in your plans of what you will build in the future until Uranus stations direct. In the consciousness of Libra, I bet the Libras are feeling much better once the North Node moves out of their sign. You did a good job, Libras. I've been talking to you the whole time, and I've seen major transformations. It's been exciting to see. Most Libras I know do not know what's next, so I want you to know that's okay. I think you've been through a lot of transformation, and you're letting go of old ego stuff with the South Node in Aries. And we'll talk about where the North Node in Pisces will mean for you. But Black Moon Lilith is still there, and unfortunately moves to step 22 this week. Now, 21 means that you are facing fears of newness, of new stories, of uncharted territories, of foreign lands, foreign cultures. You're facing fears around being uneducated or being accused of believing in the wrong thing. But when Black Moon Lilith goes to step 22, this means that we will all be facing fears of our relationship to something big going into chaos. Something big could be a marriage, a business partnership. It could also be your relationship to the world or your relationship to, the school district. It's larger. It's a group or association, and it involves a lot of feelings. The other thing is 22 is chaos. So for those people who are afraid of breaking down or afraid of chaos or afraid of even violence, in situations, the fears of that will come up. Now, remember, Black Moon Lilith is just a fear. It's not the reality. And so in my experience, whatever I was afraid of looked like it was happening, but it really wasn't. I was okay the whole time. So if you find yourself gripped in fear this week around your relationship or fairness or balance or justice, I would say this is about justice, getting your justice. It's likely just an exercise to clear the fear, but it won't feel that way, unfortunately. It'll feel like the fear. And then finally in Aries, Chiron is at step 19 again and forever. It seems like this is the longest step I've ever had. But what this does mean is, everything we're doing to move forward is likely healing your confidence and strength that you can go for the big time. Remember, 19 is the final degree before 20. 20 is a master's degree. So for us, this comes down to healing any situation that keeps you from going for it, keeps you for, going for the gold, going for your own company, going, for the person you're in love with. We're healing the part of us that holds us back from going for it, which means we're going to go for it. By the way, I don't know if you remember, but 19 degrees Aries was where we had this solar eclipse last year that went through southern Texas and southern United States. So it's interesting that we had the eclipse and then we have the healing come back there. It really means that God Universe, I think, is really trying to get us to heal that step that leaps into mastery. So although it may be tough, it is healing. And if those fears come up, 19 means respond to your heart. Don't respond to the fear. All right, so that is the big planets and transits aspects of things. Now it's time to focus just on you. Let's all get ourselves a cup of tea and have our weekly tea time. Hello, welcome to our Soul Horoscopes. Actually, that's what we're going to call the new segment as we move into a new version of the show, which we are working on quietly in the background. But for now, it is our tea time, and this is where we talk about all 12 signs and certain topics that I think affect the week. This is basically your horoscope. And this week, I really want to keep it simple and focus on two aspects for everyone. For one, the full moon. So this full moon, again, just to kind of cover it again, is at step 23 Cancer. So we're going to release an emotional attitude about something. And that's what I want you to look for, is an emotional attitude. You'll find it's very subtle. But I find it, sometimes like if you're giving someone a hard time, you realize you have this attitude against them, right? Because they'd hurt you or because they'd done something or been sneaky or whatever. So we develop this emotional attitude. And it's so kind of subconscious to just do it, right, and fall into it, that we really don't realize that attitude is blocking what you want to do. It's blocking who you want to be. And so this full moon, in essence, you might be letting go of something you're emotionally attached to, letting go of an idea you're attached to, something that was lasting forever and you kind of felt like it wasn't going to work. But underneath that was some sort of an attitude that was driving that situation. So in each of 12 signs, I'm going to talk about where you are focusing on building new vision and where you must release an emotional attitude, the full moon, to get there. And then, of course, once you are clear in Capricorn, we have the devotion. You'll be devoting to a new direction at step 26 on Thursday. I'll also talk about the node change. Now, nodes, man, I can go a whole 2 hours on nodes. I find them to be incredibly fascinating. I'm still learning, actually, in my own chart, as things aspect, how it's really turning out in my life. They're powerful. They are powerful. And if you look back at the last time, you have the nodes and the cycles of the nodes or the anti-nodes that are every 9 years, you'll see that indeed the winds shift. So with the North Node in Pisces in the big picture of things, it means people going to pay their karma. So I do suspect karmic retribution to happen during North Node in Pisces. In other words, a lot of people having to, it's not even about paying. It's about being full circle of the karma. People are going to now find themselves, in the seat of what they had done, that sort of thing. And people who have done really well, I don't want to scare people, are now going to elevate on good merit. I mean, basically, it's going to be the next spiritual story. So for each 12 signs, I'll talk about where you are moving forward with your karma and where you're moving forward with your spiritual destiny and what part of your life you must hold the faith. The South Node in Virgo is reality. Virgo is the embodiment of spirit, Pisces. And so we have embodied our lives and our lifestyles and our literal health around what spirit was vibrating as. Spirit's now changing channels, which means we have to re-embody this new vibration. But the hard part of Virgo is that it's so real. We don't feel like it's very flexible. And it's designed to not come apart. I mean, the body's designed to heal itself, not transform itself, right? So, in some ways, this is a very difficult 18 months if you're a person who can't be flexible, compassionate, and be willing to let go of the old stuff. Have faith that it'll be replaced with new. And it will be replaced with new. Everything gets replaced. Even when like a friend in your life, let's say, in my life, it's so interesting. If I have a friend at a certain birthday, somewhere like around the teens of Gemini, and they move away, like 2-3 weeks, there's a new teen Gemini in my life. They're like hired at work or something. It's like the universe will replace with a new version. So it'll be difficult. You've got to be flexible. And for all 12 signs, I'll talk about where you must let go of the old and wait for the new to become. All right. So let's start with the top. Lots of water. Aries. Aries, this full moon means that you're going to be calculating new strategy for career, legacy, leadership, or perhaps actually a formal message. If you're a person who's going to write a book, I would say, you might finalize that or formalize it. This is also probably a new vision for where you're going and your new direction. And I think that's true with Aries because you've been changing so much with Chiron in your sign. You have changed all of your karma with Saturn in your 12th house. I'm not surprised it may be an entirely new direction. And for some Aries, I've been talking about it, you're out of a job because the age of Pisces is ending and we already had the age of Aries. Warfare is over, ending. It's going to be robots now. There's, heavy labor is not even important anymore because robots will do it. And that's not all Aries do, but they are the hard pushers, the strong ones. So it's kind of like you got to find a new place to put out that strong, to express that strong. And I'm fascinated to see what happens. So on that full moon, you are creating a new vision for the future. What you have to let go of is emotional security stuff. Your vision for what emotional security is, your attitude about home and family, your ideas, your hopes for what your home would be might have to change. It's a new vision. You might have to move. You might have to downsize. You might have to sell the farm. You might be having to get bigger because perhaps you're having more children, but there is an emotional foundation change. And for those Aries who are considering a move, this is definitely a sign. With the North Node in Pisces, you might have a bit of a God crisis. That's not a bad thing, but you may be praying to God to, get that house. But you are trying to connect in the highest way. Any sort of issues you have with spirit will be tested. And if you're a person who is called to be of service to God, which by the way, I'm seeing a lot in Aries, you might feel that calling now, but this might be a minor crisis at 29 that leads to the calling. So realize, give it some time. This is going to show some spiritual evidence. Now, with the South Node in Virgo, it means that you are letting go of an old lifestyle. So putting these two together, different sort of emotional security, letting go of a lifestyle, the way you're used to living. It looks like Aries are indeed going to have some literal changes in home or their daily routines. But keep the faith, says the North Node in Pisces. Taurus. Taurus, you have a new belief about your purpose and legacy, or it could also be that you're finally starting to crystallize your old belief and really believe it's going to come true. I've seen the whole variety. I've seen Tauruses making completely transformations. They didn't know they were going to do that. They realized that their legacy, their lifestyle is far different than they that would be. So like their purpose is different, and so their life is different. And I've seen Tauruses like myself. I'll just share me that I always thought it would be this way, but now I have the proof. So for me, it wasn't a surprise, but I was holding out to see the details. Now that is the vision of the sun. The full moon in Cancer means that you have to let go of an intellectual attitude. You got to let go of a way of communicating, perhaps a vision or a plan that you had. Maybe you're emotionally attached to it going your way, and you're realizing it's not going to go your way. You're going to have to work with the universe, but your mind is sort of stubborn, based on a feeling, based on an attitude, and emotionally tied to a certain plan, intellectual property. It could even be that you had emotionally thought you would write one kind of book, and now you realize you're going to write a different book or change titles, but you're letting go of an emotional, intellectual attachment. This allows you to really believe in your purpose and what your calling is. And my suspicion is that the calling will lead to the attitude change. With the North Node in Pisces, it means it's go time and show time in society. Tauruses are the builders of the new era. And the new era needs to be built. That's technology, that's businesses, that's communities. This is what we do best, Tauruses. Moo, 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 moo. Now, we'll require faith. I'm noticing that. I've been talking to other Tauruses, and I'm surrounded by them right now, which is really funny, which is great because we're all comparing notes. But the Tauruses I'm talking to are about to do some big things, or at least they need to start to step out on the ledge, like the Fool card. And so the faith calling I can see is that Tauruses are, going. It's like my joke is a bull in a riverboat, right? Like a bull in a rowboat. So Tauruses might be feeling a little uneasy, and they have to have that faith. The South Node in Virgo means that Tauruses are officially breaking down old versions of what true love, romance, or serious joy would be. In other words, you're being led to a different definition of serious joy. You're being led to a dream that will fulfill your heart, but perhaps not the plans you had at all, not the details you had at all. So you have to be flexible to South Node in Virgo and realize your heart will get everything it wants, but it probably won't be the way you thought it was or the details that you had been focusing on. All right. Moving on. Geminis, this is going to be a bit of an uncomfortable full moon, I think, because you're making a commitment to reframe transformation. You're going to change your life. The issue is you're going to have to let go of some sort of financial security or let go of some sort of a feeling or a plan to make money. So you might have to let go of a job, basically. You might have to let go of an idea that you would try to get a business off the ground and realize you're just not going to be able to do it. You might have to get rid of an emotional attachment to, winning the lottery, getting the easy way out. And so this will create, insecurity for Geminis, uncertainty for Geminis. But you have to realize that certain emotional attitudes are what keep you in certain tax brackets. The Sun in Capricorn says Geminis have a new vision for how they want to change their life. That doesn't mean you know every detail or every step. It's a vision. It's a rough sketch, but it is actually going to be clear by the full moon. And by Thursday, you'll be devoting to what that change is and what it looks like, and it will have some sort of, financial consequence that you let go of. Now, with the North Node in Pisces, it does mean that Geminis are being called to their true legacy right now. So if you do lose a job, like I just said, it's because you've got a better legacy. You've got something destined. You're going to find, I feel, that you have magic jobs just come out of nowhere. Honestly, it's spiritually fated what happens for Geminis and their leadership and where they're going. So you don't really have to worry about not understanding it or screwing it up. You have to have that faith that you'll be led to the right place. Now, the South Node in Virgo actually may mean a tummy ache because it means that your sense of security is going to be torn up and jackhammered. That security might have been a home or a certain level of income. That security could have been just, someone that you care about who is always around. Now they're going to college or something else like that. So as a result, you're going to have to learn how to nurture yourself. You're going to have to reprogram how to create long-term security with yourself. And I'll tell you right now, it involves your feelings, not your mind. Ready for it? Okay. Here we go. Cancer. Cancers, I'm excited for you. Oh my God, I'm excited for you. You are going to have a new vision of marriage and partnership. And I've already talked to some Cancers about this, and I've seen them changing. And they've been telling me how they finally are letting go. What are you letting go of? Codependence, basically. Cancers have always wanted to care for others before themselves. And this is the big Capricorn thing. But the issue is actually the full moon in Cancer. It's your ego. It's the way you see yourself as a character. It's your emotional attachment to some image of yourself that you have played. I'm not saying it's false. I'm just saying it's over. You're not going to play that image. You're not going to play that role. And that might be the caretaker, the martyr in dark place, dark side of the moon. But it's a character, an emotional attachment to a character that you have been playing. We all play characters. That is what is going to be reborn with the full moon. But it's for the purpose of being able to go towards the direction of a healthy relationship or the type of partnerships that you deserve. And I think Cancers will get those partnerships. So a lot of Cancers have asked me, will I ever find? I'm like, yes, if you let go of this old thing, right? Which in this case, in this full moon, is that character, With the North Node in Pisces, you're moving on to a new purpose. You have a purpose besides that person or that school or whatever it is you were super caring about, You're going to be led there. And I have to say for Cancers, I don't think it's going to be very clear at first. I think you have to listen to your intuition and just be guided. If you get a feeling like you should go to the meeting, go to the meeting. If you feel like you should, apply for the job, apply for the job. Or those who know their purpose, I think you'll start to see the ball, things moving forward now. I think you'll start to see evidence pouring in. But with it at 29, the North Node, you could be really praying that the best works out and feel really confused for a while. Now, the South Node in Virgo means that the way you think and plan is going to come completely apart. You're going to let go of old plans, old strategies. In some cases with Cancers, mind games and how you can, complicate your life into misery, right? Cancers can, they're with Virgo in the third, they can overthink it all, even though they're technically an emotional sign. So I guess the way to look at this, Cancer, is your mind is wrong and it's going to be wrong. And you have to look at it as wrong. It does not know. You'd be happy now if it did, right? It's gotten plenty of a chance. It's been 18 years since you have reformatted the hard drive of your thoughtware. So it's a new faith in the future. It's letting go of old thoughts and old thinking. Leos, I'm excited for you. I have a Leo rising, so I'm right there with you. And I'm seeing this come into play already. The sun in Capricorn means it's a new way of operating in your daily lifestyle. It's a new lifestyle, new work style, operations, your capacity to perform. Even I don't know if you notice, I'm changing the way I perform on camera, right? It is that us performing in the moment. The South Node, the full moon in Cancer means you are letting go of some emotional attachment, probably to a karmic story. At least that's how I can sort of dissect it. You might have thought you were born to learn the hard way, or you were born to pay the price, or, your debt to the world was this. Or you might have been, one of those Leos with their thumb in their mouth saying, I'm the next greatest thing since sliced bread. And this whole time, no, that's not been what's happening. So you have an emotional attachment to a certain faith in something. And I don't think you're going to end up losing faith. I think that your faith is in the wrong emotional idea. So there's going to be a reboot of the emotional idea that will give you a new sense of faith, which will come by the new moon next new moon. But this means letting go of what you had faith in. It's possible because of the lifestyle, you could be laid off, and that's what you had faith in, that job. You could, break up in a relationship, and that's what you had faith in. So you could lose something you had faith in, but don't worry. It's because you have a greater faith that'll be born after this apex. Now, the North Node in Pisces means that it's now time to practice what you preach, and it's now time to begin to transform your life. You are going to go through, an 18-month transformation of your life. This is all spiritually destined. I don't think you can screw it up, but, check in with me every week. I'll tell you if it is for me. I feel like you are going to intuitively find yourself right place, right time. You're likely going to find yourself meeting people you never expected. Basically, it's a scene change and a scene change, of your life, and it involves having to be compassionate, be flexible, and hold the faith. It might be a bit uncomfortable for a while. Now, the South Node in Virgo means that you're about to go through tremendous financial transformation. You may have a business completely be reborn, or a bankruptcy that comes out of court, or you may find that you completely transform your assembly line or get out of a certain business, or you may find that you start to dissemble a certain financial business and therefore open up to new revenue streams. So I would say to Leos, be open. I always joke, I'm an astrologer. I make my money from selling text messages. Something I would have never thought would be a revenue stream. So be open. It's complicated. Just got to have faith. You got to be flexible, and you got to be willing to change the boundaries. All right. Virgos, you are in a very magical place because Virgos are ready to be happy. Now, I know you've always wanted to be happy. And as I talked about in the open with Pluto and Capricorn, it was hard to be happy. There was kind of something insecure about that. But now it is really, truly time. And I know a couple of Virgos. One of my staff seems pretty happy. We are seeing the Virgos finally getting what they want. Finally seeing the pieces come together. In some cases, another round at something. And that's what the big picture of the sun in Capricorn is. This new vision for what we call serious joy. We claim the third decan, by the way, the fifth house, as our brand. And we'll see if anyone stops us. But this new vision means that you have to let go of emotional attachments of who you thought you were in the world. You might have thought you were this. You might have felt you were that. And I saw a lot of Virgos get disappointed, over and over and over again because the world did not agree, right? And I don't know what the cause was. I think it was that you weren't really aligned with your heart. But now the Virgos have this new vision for their heart. You just have to let go of the fact that you're going to lose the title, or, they're going to take the sign down, or you're going to have to leave that town. I mean, there's a big societal change that's going to have to happen with the full moon and your emotional attachment to that society placement in order to move forward with what your heart wants. So you could say it's bittersweet, as it always is with you. Now, here's also bittersweet. The nodes are back in your sign, right? The North Node in Pisces is good news. It means that it's now time to pursue those long-term relationships that you deserve. You may not believe me, but I do believe this is going to be the case as the North Node pulls you into a new way of looking at partnership, approaching with compassion, leaving the past partners behind, the ideas and what happened, and really sailing into a new story with what long-term relationships can be. The South Node is going to be the hard part, Virgo, because this means that your ego and the way you do things is no longer appropriate. And, Virgos, what do? They perfect. Just think of it this way. You perfected a character and an ego and a model that served that time. And now you need a new one. The unfortunate thing is it's ego, which means that you might break some dishes, make some mistakes, embarrass yourself. Yes, it may not be fun because sometimes it's hard to see where the ego is misfiring until it launches into, a group of something benign. So there will be misfires, I think. But when we're all done, it's going to be like a superficial makeover. You're going to come out as a new character and you're going to find strength in new ways. So stay flexible and realize the good part is relationships will be good. All right. Libra. Libra, you are now moving to a new sense and a new vision of emotional security. I think Libras are taking command over their long-term emotional safety. That means that you are moving into a new vision of a home or retirement savings, or you're just setting up your security in a different way. You're approaching family in a different way. This could be a new vision of how you approach family. A lot of Librans come from toxic families, and they're just saying they give up now. They're not going to be the peacemakers. They're not going to be the ones that have to fix everything. So it's a new foundation. Now, what this means is you have to let go of an old emotional attachment to a legacy you want to live. Maybe it's that you're, for instance, getting divorced. You can say, I'm going to get divorced. And you wanted your legacy to be that, you died, you grew old together, right? So there's a legacy, there's a career, there's a leadership position you have to let go of. But this is so you feel more secure, so you feel more stable, so that your emotional field is grounded. Those scales need a strong base in order to do the weighing. And so what you're doing is you are bringing yourself into a new base. And it's probably something literal. Many of you might be literally moving or separating homes or merging. This could be a marriage. It can be the union of two. The North Node in Pisces means that your life is about to change. And it will probably be really kind of unexpected, intuitive, bumping into somebody, finding, you're just going to find that you sort of stumble your way into a new lifestyle. It does mean you have to face whatever your fear of crisis of life is. So, if you're terrified that there would be a hurricane, there'll probably be one blow through you right by the town. So you're going to have to face the karmic fears. But I do think Libras are changing their daily life. They're here to live in peace and harmony. And for that to happen, the South Node in Virgo means you've got to let go of what you have considered to be your fate. Your operating version of the universe is an old model. You're running old software. And so the South Node in Virgo says, those details you hold on to about karma or God or whatever no longer apply. This could sort of be like someone who is leaving a church or a very extreme religion. But you don't even have to be religious. You are extreme when it comes to your faith and beliefs because you have Virgo there. You are inflexible. So you have to be very flexible about your definition of faith, very flexible about what signs are good signs and what signs are bad signs, and also at the same time detail-oriented about what details you're willing to let, excuse me, detail-orientated about what details you're willing to let go of. Excuse me, Virgo. Out of all the signs, I think you understand. All right. Wait, was that? Yeah, that was Libra. Excuse me. I called you Virgo and it's Libra. Sorry, I had a mind fart there. Sorry about that. Scorpios. Had into that. Scorpios, this is going to be, honestly, I have to say, probably one of the easiest out of all 12 signs because you're so commanding in your thoughts. You're in control of your mind. You're in control of how you, intellectualize things. So, this is snap, snap, snap if you want it to be this way. It really is all based on whether or not you will let go of control. So you're coming up with a new vision for how to think. This might be a literal strategy, an attitude, an intellectual property like a book, something like that. But you're now ready to move forward with new thinking. And I think you will do it very quickly, all right? Now, what you have to let go of is your emotional attachment to a certain purpose. I think some degree that purpose is the protector, the guardian, the hero, the savior. A lot of Scorpios came in, with Aries in the 6th house thinking that they had to be the soldier. Their purpose was to protect everyone, save everyone, and whatnot. That's probably the most popular life purpose I see going down in flames for the Scorpios. So, letting all that go. But it could be letting go of a school or an education. You might be letting go of certain plans to travel or relocate around the world. But it's an emotional attachment to a philosophy, emotional attachment to a school of thought. So it was all theoretical anyways, and it was all very emotional. What's important is that you have a new attitude, a new vision, a new belief about how to think about it, how to go about it, how to tackle the problem. And I think with the full moon, once you let go of that attachment, you're going to sail away very easily. Now, here's exciting. The North Node in Pisces means it is now time for Scorpios to have their personal dreams come true. It's now time for them to be on the destiny of what their heart deserves. I know a lot of Scorpios out there who are bitter, who don't believe their heart's going to get what they want. And I've just been like trying to like hold the ropes and say, you will, and it won't be for a while. And now is the while. Now, you might have the next, 10 days with the North Node at 29, terrified that you're not going to get what you want and, having a huge test of faith, but you're going to, okay? I know, with every Scorpio I've talked to, you've got a remarkable work to do on the earth and incredible gifts to share. And the North Node in Pisces says to me, it's time to share those gifts. It's time to go for your serious joy. Now, to get there, you've got to let go with the South Node in Virgo, your vision of who you are in the world. You are no longer going to be who you were in the world. That might be a title change, a culture change, a change geographically, but you got to let go of reality, and you also have to let go of your view of reality and your view of society. Your view of society and the details you hold on to are basically in the way of your personal dreams, or some of them. And so you're going to have to be very flexible with what's on your name tag and what you're being classified as and what your title is and how many followers you have. To be very, very flexible about that, because it's going to transform in a powerful way and you're going to be really fixed on the way it used to be. But here's the good news. With that right attitude and letting go of that old philosophy, the North Node in Pisces says it is time for your love, romance, creativity, and personal dreams. So you deserve it. You've earned it. Go for it. Sagittarius. Sag, this new sun in Capricorn means that you are aiming for a new business plan, a new way of making money, a new definition of abundance, perhaps new manufacturing techniques. Perhaps you're moving the factories back to America, but you are ultimately looking at manufacturing or manifesting something abundantly and having a new plan for how to do that. It could also be refinancing of debt, things like that too, because the full moon in Cancer means that you're going to have to emotionally change your boundaries, your vision of how your life would change, your feelings around what's safe and what's not safe, your feelings about what needs to be protected and not protected, your feelings around inheritance, your feelings around debt. These feelings are basically toxic to some degree, or holding back the vision that you want to, create for money and manifestation. It also could be, by the way, if you're an artist, like something you want to create or make happen out of reality as well, just like of art, okay? But the truth is that your emotional flexibility, what you're comfortable with, this has to change. Your definition of what makes you comfortable, this has to change. And you probably have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in the transition. So it's messy, but you come out abundant. Now, the North Node in Pisces means you're now taking full karmic control of your emotional security. You have been evicting your family since the day you were born. In fact, I don't know a Sagittarius that wasn't out of the house by 17 and a half. But now you're going to build your own home. And it's funny, I'm seeing Sagittarius has settled down. Normally when I would see a Sag out, traveling, or if I met a Sag, they were traveling. I hear Sagittarius now talking about decorating their homes, about making peace with their family, all sorts of stuff, So it's now time to surrender to the highest, most compassionate home you can do, and have faith. If you're having a hard time right now, you will find that home. You will find that security. North Node at 29 means you have to have faith. The South Node in Virgo means your legacy is going to change. You're not going to end up as the person or thing you thought you were going to be. You maybe won't get that title. Perhaps your career will take a turn. So letting go of certain decisions, and also a freedom to let go of certain commitments. With the South Node in the 10th house, you can exit the contract. You can say no. You can quit. And it's going to be necessary, I think, for you to feel good. The real art of it is, do you feel good? Do you feel secure? Then go ahead and quit. Go ahead and break that contract. So expect a lot of career transformation this year in particular, but starting after the nodes move into Pisces and Virgo. I have to switch here. Capricorns, happy birthday, Capricorn. How you feeling? I've been talking to Capricorns. Y'all are feeling pretty good from what I can tell, although cautiously optimistic, is what I would say to most Capricorns. They're like cautiously optimistic. Well, this is actually going to be this full moon. First of all, the sun in Capricorn, a new vision for how you see yourself and your character. So you could say you're getting a a makeover. You might be literally getting an image makeover. You might be literally putting on a new hat or a new name tag. Your title may be changing, that you're now, the senior vice or something like that. But you also might be just overall letting go of a demeanor that probably is the result of Pluto and Capricorn for 15 years. You get the shift beat out of you. And because you're a mountain and you're so, stubborn, Pluto was relentless, right? So this could be, the new you finally being born after all that transformation, or you finally finding your identity after all those changes and hardship. But it's a new shiny penny, and I'm real interested to see where y'all go. Now, the South Node the full moon in Cancer means that some sort of emotional attachment you have to marriage or partnership, some sort of vision of marriage and partnership, you're going to have to let go. Now, in the worst case scenario, this could be a divorce, honestly, where you're letting go of a long-term partnership, business or romantic, and, the change of character is I'm now divorced, I'm now single. That could be it, or I'm getting married. But you're letting go of emotional attachments to how it's supposed to be, what's the right way for it to be. And so I think Capricorns are already there, and we're already planning for the worst. So I don't think it's going to be bad, but y'all are not so good at emotionally nurturing. Make sure you're there for yourself, and make sure it's not being projected onto that partnership. Now, the North Node in Pisces means it is time for the new plans to go forward. And, if you're holding on really hard to the old plans, stop, okay? You're having a karmic mind change. Your spiritual mind is changing. So it will maybe be that you have to hold really great faith that the plans will work out. That could be what it is. Or it could be that you just have to sit back and let your intuition guide you and quit trying to business plan all this. But you want to go forward with what you intuitively feel, make decisions, follow your thoughts according to what your spirit is telling you. And by God, don't judge yourself, be forgiving. Now, the South Node in Virgo means that, what you really believe was your purpose is not. There's changes. And I know this is probably pretty easy to understand. Most Capricorns I know have completely changed their business or their life or their philosophy of life, as I've witnessed in Pluto in their sign. But, you might have to give up a certain philosophy, or a certain, a degree means nothing anymore. Or it could be that you let go of, your attachment to some sort of knowledge base. All right. So be flexible about the knowledge base and just let those things go in favor of the new attitude, the new mindset, the new plan. All right. Almost there. Virgos. What am I saying? Aquarius. I don't know where I got that. That was a joke. Aquarius, you have got an interesting place here because we're on the dawn of the age of Aquarius. Pluto's in your sign. You're being called to stage, right? It's your time. And most Aquariuses I talk to know this, feel this, and own this. But the sun in Capricorn says you've got to have a new vision about God and the universe. For you to go out there and tell all of us that we're wrong, you're going to have a strong relationship to God and the universe. And to some degree, I think for Aquariuses, I know a lot of Aquariuses who had past lives where they were damaged by organized religion. And this is a huge chapter in their life. And I have my theories about that, but we'll do another day. But I think in a lot of cases, where it has mattered so much that that religion messed you up, now I think it doesn't matter. I think to some degree, Aquariuses are making friends with God again, or they're taking the power to have their own relationship with God, or they're just getting higher up. They've been so focused on earth stuff and vibration. They're now finally going, maybe something larger is running up there. But it's a new vision for spirituality, fate, destiny, etc. It means that you have to let go, ultimately, of an old way of living. Your lifestyle is going to change. So Aquariuses are going to move, change, quit jobs, find new jobs, get rid of old clients, find a whole new batch of clients. It is, I think a full lifestyle change over the next 18 months. And most Aquariuses I know that that's going to happen. So consider this your affirmation that it's happening. Now, with the North Node at 29, you might be having to really get on your knees and pray. It'll be okay. You might be letting details, drown you. And so, you will have to, again, let your feelings about that lifestyle go and realize there's a new lifestyle waiting for you and not be so attached to the old, right? Now, when it comes to North Node, it's focusing on finance. And this is a big one for the Aquariuses. You're going to make money in a way you probably can't even understand right now. And the universe is going to guide you there piece by piece. Maybe this is why you got to get closer to God right now, and closer to your higher self, because that's what's going to lead to the money. In some cases, you're literally going to be teachers of the universe and teachers of how reality works. So in some cases, literally spirituality will lead to money. But you might have a money crisis with the North Node in Pisces. You might be worried it's not going to work out. But in truth, you'll be led spiritually with the North Node in Pisces to the way of your value and your abundance. The South Node, however, means that you're going to have to let go of certain boundaries and insistences on the way things are. So Aquariuses are very, very guarded with where the line is, who they sleep with or not sleep with, what they're willing to do. You know, those have to change. You're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you're going to find that it doesn't always go the way you like. But in the end, I think the universe has your highest good here, and you will settle on a boundary that serves you and everyone else. And I have to say, in many cases, I mean, most Aquariuses I know, it mostly serves you, your boundaries. So you might have to go kind of the other direction and be more fair to people, including lovers. All right. And then the Pisces. Pisces, you are now creating a new vision for who you are in society. I've been talking about this, I said last week, right? The age of Pisces is ending. It's time to step up and be the graduates, be the examples, show us how it's done. It's time for you to embody all the lessons of Christ consciousness, creation consciousness, and it's time for you to go ahead and live this new role in the world. So you have a vision for the world. Now, the full moon in Cancer means you're going to have to let go of some vision your heart had hoped for. And the thing about Pisces is, you are a subconscious spiritual being. Some of the things your heart was wanting might have been past life, might have been something else. It may not have been what this lifetime is about. You are going to have joy, serious joy. You are going to have, I think, satisfaction. I think Pisces are going to be huge hits in this new era, but it may not be what your heart was wanting or hoping for because you have a different calling in society. So you have to listen. You have to let go of an emotional attachment to a love affair, a personal dream, a creative project, and so that you can be who you're meant to be in society. And remember, who you're meant to be, okay, is what the world needs. You're a spiritual service provider. You bring God into the moment. You bring magic into the moment with Leo in the 6th house. So you likely have got to be flexible, okay, about where it unfolds. Now, the North Node is in your sign, which means it's go time. It's time for you to be that character. It's time for you to step up. You're going to transform the way you behave, the way people see you, what you love, attract in the moment. You're going to go through a complete spiritual makeover in the next 18 months. And the South Node in Virgo means there'll be tremendous relationship change. I'm going to say the other signs in serious joy, give your Pisces a kiss because they're probably not going to be around much longer. You're being reassigned to a new place based on this new character. So you will be saying farewell for now until in heaven for a lot of people. A lot of people. I've seen this transition, not like quite like this. This is like the Great Pisces Migration, where we could say, right, like bass swimming up, salmon swimming upstream. But I do think too, with the South Node in the 7th house, you have to let go of certain details. Some people will not know. Some people will not understand. Some people will never listen. Okay. What's important is that you are this new character, that you behave according to what you've learned, and realize that you have good times ahead, because up until now, all Pisces have done is clear karma. This is going to be the first, I think, part of your life where things really matter and where you see yourself making a real difference. All right. All right, friends, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we have Astro Mingle and our star tonight, Jimmy of the Tarot Ship. We'll see you in a minute. This Zodiac weather is for Saturday, January 11th to Friday, January 17th, 2025. Looking first at the weekend forecast. Over the weekend, you will do an emotional spin and perhaps a minor breakthrough, but in the end, you'll find yourself with a better plan. On Saturday, it's sunny and liberated. The conscious step is step 21 when it starts to get fun. Jupiter is ruling the day, meaning you are learning, expanding, researching, and finding answers that you need. You're going to decide that you matter, and you're going to feel infinite possibilities. Also, big news alert, the North Node enters Pisces at step 29. On Sunday, it's cloudy and dynamic. Step 22 means Uranus rules the day. Expect a minor breakthrough that will lead to better love. You're looking for the direction that is a perfect match. And with Mars trining Neptune, it means it's also a change of fate. Zipping ahead now to the 5-day weekday forecast. Over the upcoming business week, you will start the week with a firm view and a full moon, and end the week with action. On Monday, it's cloudy but tense. Step 23 says Mercury rules the day. You'll be in your mind, pensive, communicative. It's time to decide that you know, and time to declare it. And with a full moon in Cancer, apexing at 5:25 Eastern Time, you're emotionally processing feelings about the future and coming up with a revised plan that feels better. On Tuesday, it's cloudy and a little anxious. Step 24 means that Venus rules the day, so you're opening up your heart and trying to accept the given plan. It's actually a character-building moment, and with Venus squaring Jupiter, it all makes sense. On Wednesday, it's partly cloudy and rejoicing. Step 25 indicates that Neptune rules the day. Expect to be a little cloudy, but psychic and have some intuitive insights. Pay attention to the spiritual learning. Eventually, you'll decide you have to surrender and commit to trusting your heart. And with the Sun opposing Mars, there may be a tug-of-war between the ego and what you love. On Thursday, it's sunny and idealistic. Step 26 means Saturn rules the day. This is the final Grandmaster day of the Capricorn season, and on this day you will decide to devote to the new plan. And be mindful that self-love is necessary. But caution, once the moon goes into Virgo, you may have some doubts. And then on Friday, it's sunny and surreal. Step 27 indicates that Mars retrograde rules the day. It's time to engage, although a different way, and you're going to go with your heart's opinion, perhaps over common sense. And with the Sun sextiling Neptune, you're realizing a new fate. Hello, welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented lightworkers and innovative influencers of our time. Tarot cards have become ridiculously popular with social media, generating millions, maybe even a billion views from young TikTokers to Gen X YouTubers. And tonight's guest is an innovator and leader in the field, blending other modalities to master his craft. Jimmy is the founder of the Tarot Ship and globally recognized as an intuitive empath and clairvoyant who combines astrology, tarot, channel messages, all to empower and inspire. His mission is to help people become their best version through humanity's ascension. I'm on that team, Jimmy. With over 200,000 subscribers, Jimmy is the only channel on YouTube who merges current astrology aspects with tarot reading spreads for all 12 signs every week. He's also known for his intuitive predictions, all of which have come true. His clients have included celebrities, top executives, and CEOs, in addition to global brands. Currently, Jimmy is expanding his mission by working on a young adult novel that aims to introduce ancient philosophical practices to a whole new generation. Please send some waves of love and light and gratitude to my guest today, Step 8 Aquarius, Jimmy of the Tarot Ship. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm great. Christopher, how are you doing?
I'm better. I think 2024 wrapped up kind of tense, and I'm finally feeling like the sky's opening up.
I was looking forward to really meeting you in person too. Last year at your Unite the Light.
Oh, you should come out, man. You really should.
Yeah. Well, oh gosh, one of your colleagues contacted me to be the master of ceremonies, and it was the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, right?
That's right. That's right.
I was like, oh, I really wish I could have made this, but I couldn't.
Okay. We'll send flowers and beg this year again.
Next time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Your energy is so nice. I mean, we were looking for a host that was you just have this great energy about you, so.
Oh, I appreciate it. And it's always great to be around other like-minded people creating that that force of energy that you feel is so sweet. It's so sweet. Yeah.
We were on a weird high. I mean, I think we were joking we cracked open 5D for a while, having all the positive people there in the same room.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, it was
I
really
love that.
amazing. You'll have to come at some point.
I will. I will.
So
I will.
what's your story? How'd you come into this practice? I mean, I mean, I didn't set out to college to go learn astrology. What did you do?
Yeah, you know what's really funny is that it came first, and I'm sure you understand how this works, and I feel like a lot of people that are here right now, intuitives or empaths or any of us, like everyone has a different story, and I feel like people are wired a certain way. And so I remember when I was really young, I mean, I don't have like a crazy cool story, but I would fall into these trances, and
Mm,
I just thought it was normal because I was so young, and they were also paralyzing. So I would,
mm,
let's say, like I'm eating lunch or something, I would just fall into these trances and just kind of freeze, and it was very bizarre. But again, I just thought it was just a normal thing that maybe people did it and they just hit it better than me. And it wasn't until I was in high school where I had this I was like washed over with this awareness that I knew more than other people around me. And it wasn't until college where I started, oh, I had fun with it. It wasn't, and so
mm,
this is kind of a wild story. I didn't take it seriously. Like I would
mhm.
do psychic readings for friends. I would tell them what I saw in their past. I would have like vivid visions of seeing them down to the clothes that they were wearing when they were
Wow.
12 years old. Yeah, yeah. And so I had a lot of psychic pops, but it was like fun for me. You know, I was in college. I was, partying and whatnot. So I
Mhm,
never really took it seriously until right after college. I had two very, I would say, like very profound experiences. One where I saw a past life, and again,
mm,
so young, I don't know what that means. I just
mhm,
remember seeing it very vividly. And the second thing is I started hearing the voice, and that happened one
mhm.
night where I was kind of meditating, and I heard this voice, and it was very strange, and I didn't know what it was saying, but I understood, if that makes any sense. And it was really beautiful. And then it was the next day where I freaked out. I was like, I need to stop this. How do I turn this off? Because I didn't want to be known as, I was
Mhm,
it's kind of like X-Men. You don't want people to know that
mhm.
this is who you are.
Right.
And so eventually I came to understand that this is just something that people are wired with. And I was able to help a lot of people. There
Mm,
was a point in time in my 20s where I was doing psychic readings. I wasn't doing it for money. I was just doing it for friends,
mhm.
friends of friends who heard about me, friends of friends of friends. And then there was one person I remember having a conversation with her. She asked me if she was going to have kids with this new person that she was dating, and they were engaged. And I remember telling her, well, you did have the chance. And not to make a long story short, but I she freaked out because
Mm.
only her mom knew that she had had an abortion. And
Wow.
it was, it was one of those moments where it's like, I'm not even doing this right. This
Mm.
isn't for me. I need to just stop doing this. But you can't turn it off. You can turn it off to a degree, right? Your intuition or clairvoyance, or however you want to call it. And so I did. And then I realized that I just can't. It's, I would have I've probably had over 200 ghost experiences.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, yeah, so it's just, it's part of me. And so being the person that I am, I've always been interested in astrology and tarot. And so I just kind of like just combined it all into, my practice. And it's something that I'm really passionate about. I'm just like, I'm not gonna stop being who I am. And one of the things that was really great about how I felt by giving readings was making other people feel really good and
Yeah.
inspiring people and empowering people. And when I started my YouTube channel, that was the mission was just to empower. Okay. And so it was mostly through just intuitive messages, tarot, astrology. There was kind of like tools, or that would really shape the messaging. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
How many years are you into it on YouTube?
Well, that's the thing. Well, 2 years,
Wow.
and I did not, and I just did it because I'm just passionate about it. I did it
Wow.
during COVID, and
Wow.
it just grew like
Interesting.
wildfire. And
Yeah.
I've never advertised. I don't do.
Mhm.
I break all the rules too. I don't go by YouTube's algorithm. I don't
Uh-huh.
piece video. I drop them off all at like 12 p.m. noon every Wednesday.
Yeah.
YouTube was not like that. Thinks you're a bot. And so I was never in it for the money. I was never in it for like,
Yep.
oh, I want to be a big YouTuber. I was in it because I was so passionate about it, and I wanted to
Yeah.
help people. I wanted to guide
Mm.
people, and I knew that was like a superpower of mine. So I think that's a big testament to how big the channel has grown, and I'm grateful every day, and I have so much gratitude for being able to connect with my audience and the subscribers and members I have. And I think it's an amazing experience. And it's so funny that what you were just saying about Aquarians earlier. That I was listening in, and I'm like,
I was
yeah.
wondering what I was sending you messages backstage. I was wondering if you're getting them. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
no,
was
I
it?
got them all.
Yeah.
I got them all, of course.
I bet you did. What was it about Aquarius? I'm curious that you heard.
Well, you were saying about okay, so you said something about organized religion and
Hmm.
how Aquarius. So I grew up Southern Baptist. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, Actually, let me rephrase that. I grew up Korean Southern Baptist, which is
Mm.
worse.
More
A lot,
intense, I think. Yeah. Probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
Mhm.
more intense. And so I had to decide so I was in a constant struggle with
Wow.
religion growing up. There were some big moments that happened, and I was just happily riding along with it. It's how I grew up. I
Hmm.
remember doing prayers. We would pray before every meal. We had Wednesday night prayers at my
Hmm.
house with the church. We had
Wow.
to go to church 9-hour days on Sundays. We were there Saturdays. It was
Wow.
intense, but it was just how I grew
Yeah.
up. But it was like the older that I got, when I could think for myself, and when all this intuition started kicking in, when I was starting to
Mm.
realize that that wasn't my path, um it's still embedded in you. Like
Right.
I still pray at night,
Mhm.
every night, because I cannot do it. I've been so that's just how I am. But I'm not praying to God, I'm praying to the universe. Does
Mhm.
that make sense?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
So I had to tweak it to make it fit me.
Have you
And
spread
my
to angels and afterlife and specifics in heaven, or is it universe altogether? When you pray, are you praying to specific angels or that sort of thing? Has that also carried over?
So I throw in, yeah,
Like Archangel
usually I'll
Michael.
throw in like Archangel Raphael,
Mm.
Archangel Michael, who I
Mm.
feel, yeah. So it's a blend. It's
Mhm.
a Jimmy mix.
Yeah, totally.
It's a
I
special
feel the
Jimmy
same
mix.
way.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you heard the voice, this is for people who might have the similar thing.
Mhm.
Does
Yeah.
the voice come through as your voice talking in a like in a voiceover? Was it a different voice? Was it a knowing of the script? Like, how
Yeah.
does the voice come in for you?
So it was not my voice.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
voice that
So you
is,
literally over your shoulder. Yeah.
oh, I mean, over
Hmm.
700 hertz. It was
Hmm.
very, like, uh, it's so indescribable. It's like, I, I want to say it's like the closest thing to it would be like maybe like Gregorian chanting, but
Wow.
not a chant, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was just,
Yeah.
yeah, and it wasn't English. But it was more about like the feeling that I got from it. Like I understood it
Mhm.
on a whole other level. It wasn't like I needed to understand what he was actually saying, but I was feeling like I was absorbing what he was saying. If that does that
Mhm.
make sense? Like
Oh,
it.
totally. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I
Okay.
think in spirituality, I mean, even in like past life flashbacks, for instance, which I didn't get until my 40s, so you got yours really young.
Yeah.
It's like that quick flash of vision. You just know the situation, you know who's there. There's so much extra knowledge there that is not spoken.
Mhm.
You don't have to have the words, at least not for myself, you know. So I totally
Yeah,
get it.
I love that the comment. This gives me chills because that's how I felt the morning. The morning after, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't tell anybody about this. I'm not going to
Right.
let anybody know about this. It's just, yeah, it was very, very interesting experience. And regarding past lives, wow. So remember how I said that I saw it very vividly. What's
Mm,
really interesting is that I saw like a psychic, right? Like
mhm.
many, many, many years later, who was doing like a past life reading for me to a T, described that past life. And I was like, okay, that means something. And then when I was understanding astrology a lot more, like mid 20s ish, when I was learning about the nodes, the fact
Yep.
that my south node is in Aries, because the what I was in the past was a warrior.
I was gonna say, yes, as
Yeah,
a soldier. Yeah. Mhm.
I was on a horse. I was not a good person. I mean, I was a warrior. So that just brought a lot more clarity too. And I was like, I'm just putting all the pieces together, and it's
Yep.
building this, path for me that's making me understand everything that I kind of need to know.
Your spiritual history and how things led to where they are. And
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah.
thank you for sharing that story because every time I tell a person about a past life story, especially recently a lot of people who aren't into this, I'm getting like flocks of people, strangers, grocery stores, and they're asking me stuff, and it's like, okay, here we're back at the beginning. It's the same thing. Like I would have a flashback, and then I'd have a friend who's like, I just got a hit that you were this, and or a psychic reading. So you get affirmations in other places, At least I did. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah.
You're on the internet. I was when I first went on the internet with astrology, I saw suddenly so many different things that the internet could bring that I was doing it on the internet. How
Mhm.
have you seen astrology and even the tarot change from internet digital distribution, like YouTube and Instagram?
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, I mean, that's a great question. And I think that we're at a time in our life right now where tarot, esotericism, astrology, divination, spirituality, it has never been this strong. The community has never been this strong because of the accessibility of the internet. Like
Mm,
we would not, and it's not even the fact that these, like Zoom, internet, all this, YouTube exists. I think it just happened, like it merged
mm,
because it's such an interesting time where, even me, just energetically, I feel the shift. I've been feeling this shift, and everyone's feeling this shift. And,
mm,
we compared to, like, let's say when I was in college, like you like when I got my first birth chart reading, I had to drive like an hour and a half to this one
mhm,
place. You had to actually look for these people. And now
mhm,
there's like, there's a saying in New York City. I mean, I live in New York City, so there's
mm.
a saying here where there's more bartenders there than there are bars. It's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
the same thing with like astrologers. There's so many astrologers now, and I love that because they all bring something to the table.
Mhm,
And even, the younger generation is, speaking of like religion and whatnot, like there is so much reports and data coming out where Generation Z, like they're not like structured, organized religion is
mhm,
kind of like dying off now. And it's
mhm.
they believe in like tarot, they believe in astrology, they believe in the universe, they believe
Yeah.
in, the cosmic, like, so there's this huge shift that's happening. And,
Mhm,
with the internet, it's making everything so much easier. And I think that there is going to be a bigger shift, as we move into 2025, into, the latter half of this decade, where a lot of the bigger leaders are going to be on, they're going to be podcasters, they're going to be
mhm.
YouTubers. That's where
Yeah.
people are going to be getting their news and their information.
Mhm,
It's just it's kind of wild to think about, and it's one
mhm.
of those things where you can't even wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
But we've had big moments like that. We've had big shifts. I remember when the internet came out, right? Like
Mhm. I do
that was,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like iPhone. I remember when that came out. Like, so things are. It just, there are so many things that we can't wrap. our heads around
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
we are going to see in 2025. It's going to be a big
Interesting.
year.
Let's go deeper on that. I'll speak to
Oh,
the internet. One thing I was just
mhm.
loved about it is just that the feedback, the instant feedback,
Oh
because
yeah. Mhm.
before the internet, which I remember, I'm a little older than you, I would do a reading and I was like, I hope it was good, like hope they got it, and
Oh
then once
yeah.
we were on the internet, it was just like, oh my God, all this feedback. And so I was sharpening my algorithms and really, realize, I think astrology is growing in its accuracy, especially with you cross disciplining. That's the
Mhm.
interesting, cool trend I'm starting to see now is the cross disciplining. You're a leader in that where we don't need to use one modality. We can actually get nano correct by using these other modalities: human design, tarot, numerology, etc. So I think it's
Yeah.
exciting to see the actual field growing itself, like changing. Whereas in the 70s, you're right, they didn't have the internet in the 70s. So, hey baby, what's your sign was about as far as it got, right?
Oh my
So
god, that's hilarious. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I think that I think there's going to be a merging of a lot of things, and as far as I know, I think I'm the only one on YouTube that does that, that merges like current astrological aspects with astrology, with numerology, and I try to throw in, well, every reading I'll throw in like hermetic principles. I
wow.
try to throw in like law of one. I try like because
Mm,
again, it's more about the energy, and that's, it's that
mhm,
energy work, that, it's frequency, it's energy, it's vibration, it's the ether, it's that's what I want to get across, because if I can inspire one person, empower one person, I've done my job with that person. And
mhm,
there's just going to be some challenging moments, and sometimes I
yeah,
think people need to hear someone saying like, listen, like, this is temporary, this is an aspect that's, we're gonna come out of this, like,
mhm.
I don't know, that's just me.
But no, 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 that's needed. I mean, I have to say, I mean, I've been watching astrologers too, all over the place, and it's rare that there's such a positive vibe accompanied with the message.
Mhm.
And as long as the world gets darker, you get higher, Jimmy. It's really needed, that optimism. I think more than anything. That's the one thing I noticed about you right away. It's just the positivity that came across. It seems like you really care about me. It feels like that. I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
saying,
I
like, but it
I
works. It
do.
feels it.
I absolutely do, and that's one thing about, that's why I always talk about like
Yeah.
frequency and all my
Yes.
readings, like, want you to vibrate at a high frequency, reach a high frequency. I mean, we're talking about energy. Everything is made
Yep.
of energy. And when I say and listen, that's not just a hermetic principle, that is quantum
Yeah.
physics. We know that now. Albert Einstein said it himself. So if if you're vibrating a high frequency, and I know a lot of your subscribers know this, right? The energy work and, the law of attraction. But when I say everything is made of energy, it is the thoughts that you have in your head, it is the words that come out of your mouth. And so I am very mindful of how I translate the messages that are
Mhm.
coming through me, or the messages that I'm relaying. So it is kind of like, it's almost like artwork in a sense. Like, you have to be very, very
Oh yeah.
precise.
Well, you're an Aquarius. I mean, I
Yeah.
believe Aquariuses have the
Yeah.
superpower of detecting frequency and vibration better than any sign. I mean, literally, your symbol is a vibration. When you read a
Yeah.
chart, are you getting the vibe of the planet? Where does vibe play out for you, literally?
Yes. So I do meditate. Sometimes I do get how do I explain this? Like, I get I don't even know a
Mm,
word for it, like energetic freezes sometimes, like where I can feel like there will be a feeling that overcomes me when I feel something is about to
mm,
happen. Um, or I can also feel this really great vibe and then I check it's happening, when this amazing aspect is going to happen. But energetically, yes, I have to look at everything energetically, and it's more about the vibrations, the energy that I feel that's coming from aspects, or even for the aspects for the
mm,
week for the particular
mm.
sign. I meditate before every sign that I
Wow,
read, that I do the readings
admirable.
for
Mm.
beforehand. Yeah, so and you do this too. I think that, and I don't know how much people understand how much work goes into these live
Yep.
sessions. You just did a whole hour and a half. I mean, that's so much work. Putting all that work together, like putting your script together, like everything. It's so
Yes,
much
it
work.
is.
And so I applaud
Thank
you,
you.
and I think that you do an
Thanks.
amazing job. And I want people to know that this is, people that do this really do
You
care,
have to. You
really do
have
care.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'd be
Yeah,
gone.
you ha
Yeah,
you I
it's a
love it.
lot.
I just,
Yeah.
for me, getting out there, I mean, I was on YouTube the first month it was on. And I was trying to do them videos myself, but like,
Mhm,
I just felt like
mhm.
astrology has all the answers. And I just feel like, how can I sit here and not share with the world when I have the answer? You know what I mean? Like I have the answer, what you're looking for. It's an
Oh yeah.
excitement. And I want you to know I have
Mhm.
it. And I want you to be better. And it's a selfish thing. I want everyone to be happy and have fun, you know? So I totally feel I admire your dedication. It's a hell of a lot of work. 12 signs. I mean, imagine Brad Pitt. You have
Yeah.
12 versions, Brad, of every movie. You know, 12 takes every time. It's a lot. People don't realize. Yeah, it's incredible. You brought, yeah,
It is.
you brought up
Yeah.
2025. I'm just really curious, to talk shop with you about what you feel is significant coming
Mhm.
up. I mean, there's the obvious, this new president, and half like him, half don't, and blah blah blah. But astrologically, what is really tuning you on? I'll say tuning you on.
So that's a great question. And 2025 is energetically, there's a lot of different, it's almost like an
Yeah.
overwhelming
Mm.
energy. And so there's definitely going to be a lot of changes. And I talked about 2025 a lot, so I'm not going to, but
Sure.
we are reaching a point of, you can call it the age of ascension. A lot of people are calling
Mm.
it that. People are calling it the great year, the great awakening, age of Aquarius. We're on the
Mm.
brink of the age of Aquarius, but there is this shift. And when you do the math, and again, a lot of this, and it's been something that I've been feeling for years. So it's not like
Hmm.
it came out like, okay, 2025, this is going to be, I've been feeling the shift and we're here and I'm really excited for it. And it is one of those years where astrologically, oh my goodness, like I mean, what's happening. It's like all the planets are changing signs. Like when has that? And I know that Mercury, Mars, Venus, those are given, those are obvious. But
Hmm.
for outer planets changing signs in such a compressed period of time like that, and it's giving you a preview of 2026, which is like the year, right? That's a 10.
Hmm.
Next year is a 9.
Hmm. Hmm.
I have been telling, I've said this a couple times on my live stream. For me, I've been calling 2025 the age of wisdom. And for many reasons. One is that's just something that's been coming through a lot for me when I meditate. And, when you think about wisdom, right, you think about, the owl, right? The wise owl.
Hmm.
And what is wisdom? It's the quality of being wise, making good judgments, but
Hmm.
at the same time, the owl, known to be wise in many cultures, ancient cultures, at the same time, has also represented death and the horror
Hmm.
of death. And that is so perfectly aligned with Pluto because with Pluto having moved into Aquarius and he's just getting started,
Hmm.
things have to break down for the breakthroughs, right?
Hmm.
For that transformation, it is death and rebirth. Okay, I mean, Sumerians, associated the owl with Lilith, the god of death, and even
Really? Mm.
Korean culture. I mean, Native
Okay.
American cultures. I mean, it was always death, death and rebirth, but death of the old, death of the ego, death of this old paradigm. We're having this paradigm shift and it is this collective rebirth that we're going through, and everyone's going to become wiser because there are going to be so many things that are going, it's like full stop. Like you're gonna have to accept some of these changes
Yeah.
that are going to happen. You have no choice but to become wiser.
Mm.
And it is a 9 year too. I think that you talked about that. And nine
Yeah.
is one of the most complicated numbers. It's such an interesting number, but 9 in numerology, if you really, really, really want to break that down, it is it's there's a reason why there's when you think like cloud nine, right? Cloud nine.
Mhm.
We're all at cloud nine. That is the ultimate happiness. Or, a cat has 9 lives, right? Like
Mhm.
we're thinking about that. Okay, so
To the
what?
nines. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
when
dressed
does
to the nines.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then that's it. And then so it's almost like it is the highest vibration in this physical reality. And you were talking about 5D, like, hey, let's enter 4D. This is our portal, and we all have
Mm.
to do this together as a collective. Even in tarot, when you think about the tree of life, right? When you think in 9, right in the middle, that is the collective conscious. Like it's
Mm.
everything just aligns in this way that is just this is not coincidence. This is absolutely not coincidence. So it can be
Mm.
very beautiful, but in order for us to have this great shift, we are going to have to do this together
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
humanity, as a collective. And I think that's why you know that Neptune's moving into Aries, Saturn's moving
Mhm.
into Aries.
Yep.
I think there
That's
is
gonna be my follow-up question there, actually. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so I feel like and that there you go. There's the collective spirit. There's the collective conscious. But at the same time, there's gonna like people are gonna have to be awake and aware because there is also the we're gonna have to accept the fact that there are also going to be like delusional leaders,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Yeah.
this is part of our awakening. This is one of those things where I mean, look at how 2025 has already kicked off, right? We've had the drones, this mysterious fog, the nanovirus, bird
I
flu,
know, I know. That's
the,
January 10th.
the fire in California, New Orleans. I mean, some
Yeah.
people and people have already forgot about those things. I'm like,
Yeah.
wake up, wake
Yeah.
up. This is just the beginning. You've got to be awake. You've got to raise your frequency. You've
Mm.
got to vibrate at this high frequency. Okay. And you've got to see things from different perspectives. And you
Yep.
can only do that when you're awake. And when I say vibrate at high frequency, that is consciousness too. We're talking about consciousness. And that's why I say 2025 is the year of the 4 C's. This is the best way to remember 2025 and to handle and maneuver through 2025. Community,
Mm.
the collective,
Mhm.
consciousness, and courage are
Yeah.
the 4 C's. Those are the 4 main themes of 2025.
Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel 9 is action and movement and change, and
Mhm.
Saturn and Aries and Uranus. I mean, Neptune and Aries to me feels like there's going to be some sort of a gun go fire off and some sort of a race begin. Like that's what I initially feel. It's just racing ahead. I feel chaos. But with chaos, there's great opportunity, for people to suddenly find themselves at the top who would have never been there, like the Googles of the world who were the right technology, at the right time. So I think there's
Yep.
that as well. I can't help but question, Aries synergy and, Neptune here was the Civil War last time, right? I believe in spiral consciousness, so I don't think we're quite at the Civil War. But I do wonder, like, will everyone just sort of, create this massive traffic jam, in the world? And Uranus and Gemini, misinformation,
Mhm.
manipulation, AI abuse,
Yep.
so it seems the energy I feel is, first, very home. I love, I've lived in chaos my whole life. So I was born for this moment.
Okay.
But even I'm just like need a break when I kind of tune into it and just I can take a few breaths of it. I'm just gonna take it one day at a time. You
Yeah.
can feel it coming.
You like I said, even like everything that you just mentioned, I mean, the fact that Uranus is moving into Gemini, I mean, that first of all, that like that 84 year, right? 84 year,
Mhm.
it's been 84
Cycle.
years.
Yep.
Unless you're over 80, you haven't experienced it. Neptune in
Hmm.
Aries, what, 160 years,
Hmm.
in Aquarius, 250 years. So there's so many things nobody on this planet has experienced. We're moving into a new era, but new territory as well. And everything you said, yeah, there's like we're like buckle up, buckle
Yeah.
up. I mean, like you said, AI, AGI, Sam Altman with his announcement. We heard about
Hmm.
Willow.
Hmm.
We're just what 10 days into like that. All of that Uranus and Gemini hasn't even happened yet. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Hmm.
buckle up, and it's even. I think CES was over. Was that this weekend? It was last weekend.
I'm not
So
sure.
some of the technologies they showed there, I mean, those futuristic cars like Samsung, those TVs, did you see those?
Oh, I didn't see him yet. No.
They're rollable. They're like TV screens where TV displays where they're like rollable, they're foldable, but it's like the way that it's like, let's say that there's like, I don't know, like a turkey that like hits its head on the screen. It's physically gonna it's
Move.
gonna expand. Yeah, the
Oh,
TV.
wow.
You know,
Wow. So it's like,
it's so crazy.
wow,
Smart
that's interesting.
glasses.
So your TV's going to come at you when they hit. Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds.
yeah.
Huh.
Smart glasses are like a big thing for 2025. They're working on
Mhm.
them. That uh I like Google really botched it. It wasn't the time, like what was
Google
that
keeps
10 years
watching it.
ago with the Google glasses? That
Oh,
was
yeah, yeah.
so
They
it
botched it with
is.
Gemini too. Like they've been botching. Well, maybe their cycle. I
Oh,
don't know what their birth
with your,
chart is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there is a level of consciousness that I am. I don't. Do you know the term panpsychism? And you were talking about like the conscious universe, intelligent universe, and everything's conscious. And I
Yep.
truly
I believe
believe
that.
that, and I feel
I do
like
too.
that. Yeah, we're all tapped in, right? And so
Mhm.
I think that there is going to be a lot of the events
Mhm.
2025 that really, again, it's like you have no choice but to be awake, be aware. And I think that, and not in a bad way, it's like it's this awakening. And
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much everyone here is vibrating at high frequency. They're awake, they're aware, but there's a good majority of this world that where they're not. Like they could walk outside and there could be a whale doing jumping jacks and it wouldn't them. Do you know what I mean? Like they're
Right,
just
right.
like, okay, whatever. Like so there's gonna be some events that like wake people up.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a good thing. But again, I think that there's gonna have to be a couple things that I always say sometimes things we have to go through things the hard way. And
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
going to be a couple moments of that in 2025. And not just 2025. Remember, Pluto obviously is my boys and my sign. And
Yep.
I and what you were saying about Aquarius, what's really funny is that I have Venus and I'm in Aquarius and I have Venus in Aquarius, and they're both conjuncting my midheaven. So
Wow.
I'm really excited. And also like what's going to happen and when Pluto hits that, it's going to be like maybe 2028, 2029 for me.
Mhm.
It's all like
Yeah.
10 degrees, but yeah, so it is
Mm.
going to be a very Pluto, by the way, Aquarius, I don't know if you said this earlier, but it's space, it's technology, it's
Mhm.
Pluto's really going to show, kind of like
Open
open
up things.
curtains, yeah,
I think we'll
show
also have, vibrational medicine, you know,
everything.
all those, maybe the med beds. I don't know if that ever exists, but certainly a lot of stuff we can't even imagine. Maybe the return of like Atlantis crystal stuff too. I don't know. Like there seems, legends say that we stored records in crystals and all sorts of interesting, earth matter meets technology kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think you're right. I think there is and we can jump in the deep end here.
yeah. I know.
I
I'm with Aquarius.
yeah, and when I say everything is made of energy and everything like the
Mhm.
universe is conscious and that's just what consciousness is. And there's going to be this reckoning where people understand there are levels to consciousness, but even with the drones. Let's talk about the drones. Like those,
Okay.
I've had to explain this, but I have to explain it in a way where it makes sense because again, we understand that there's so many dimensions, right?
Right.
12. Let's stick to 12 dimensions,
Yeah.
right? 12 being the perfect number. Um,
Mhm.
I think that there is a link to the fact that there's a reason why that we can what let's call them UAPs can go, they can
Mhm.
disappear, they can do all that because they're moving through dimensions. It's
Mhm.
transdimensional. And I
Yep.
feel like, the first time that they really kind of said, "Hey, we're here," was Roswell, right? But
Right.
what happened a year before that, right? It was the first nuclear bomb, right? It was
Yeah. Yeah.
a atomic bomb.
Yeah.
That has such a big impact on the ether, on these dimensions, on these portals. And they're
Yes.
like, what? And that's why you have all these colonels and sergeants and people that worked in, military who have come and said and testified in Congress, like, yeah, our nuclear warheads, our missiles, like you see all the orbs around them, they, turn them off, right? And I really
Yeah.
think that there is some sort of link to the, I obviously believe in like the inner dryas and ancients, like,
Hmm. Hmm.
again, 12,000, we're thinking 12,000 years back and
Yeah.
before the civilizations before that.
Yeah.
And, and I think that there's going to be more evidence coming out, but there is the a theory, obviously, because not it lived that at that time, but how they came up with technology that was that you did not work well with their world, and that's why it's gone. And I feel like there is this presence. It's
Right.
like we do not want that to happen again.
Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
monitoring that. We're
Yep.
making sure, and so I think that there's going to be a lot. Pluto excavates, right? And so I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot brought to the surface. And
Mhm.
I think there's going to be a lot of things that people are going to just at first just be in complete denial. And it's going to take
Mhm.
a while for them to understand, actually, this is real.
Yeah.
This is real. I have to accept this. I'm not saying that humanity is going to change right off the bat in 2025. It's a process.
Mhm.
We're entering a new era, but there is going to be a lot of stuff that happens in 2025. Like I just said, I just named like 7 things that happened within the first 2
I
weeks.
know. I actually, that was brilliant. I didn't realize myself. Yeah, it's compelling, and the drones are compelling, and there's a lot of, I think, ultimately reveal that's going to happen in regard to what's been hidden in the past, right? Be interesting to have, and Trump's a firecracker, so a Gemini, 22-degree Gemini, so then it's like all that's going on, then throw in a bomb, like to mix it up. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think that was part of the Pluto leaving Capricorn process too,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Like
Remember,
a jackhammer. Hmm.
it's kind of like I'm just gonna just dun, 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 before I move on, and it's not even that. It's like we have that I don't know, the unfortunate event with the CEO at I forget
Oh
when the
yeah,
and
that's
so yeah, just these big corporation
hmm.
structures.
Yes.
We're
Actually,
we're
I'm with you. Yeah.
we're seeing people are wake. These are the things that it's like as Pluto left Capricorn, and it's wake. It's saying, okay, wake up. I'm moving into Aquarius now. Aquarius is the future. We're going to see a lot more things, but you still have to. There's like this. We got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. Why are y'all not talking about this? But I think it's going to get, and it's really unfortunate because it's unfortunate that we've gotten to the point where everybody is aware of how it's it's a messed up system, but
Yep.
we've gotten to the point where people are shooting and killing
I
CEOs of
know.
healthcare companies, and that's not right. That's
Yeah.
wrong. But it's like, but it was like speaking for a lot of people, where a lot of people are justifying, well, that healthcare company killed 400,000 people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's the thing.
so
How much blood's on the hands? It reminds me of the
yeah.
American Revolution. Similar themes with Pluto and Capricorn and Aquarius, where the East India Company's tea is thrown overboard because of taxation
Oh,
representation by the government, and abuse of power. Great Britain was the abuse of power, and East India Company was the abuse of power, and we see these
yeah.
same kind of themes happening at the moment. And because the internet's like, we all know it's all owned by BlackRock. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not like I have to wait 2 weeks for a letter to get to my house. So it's compelling. And actually, I think the American Revolution ends with Pluto at 4 degrees. Is something I've been looking at and watching. So just to see,
Um,
will there be a similar endpoint to whatever this is? I interviewed Wendy Kennedy, who channels the Palladians, and the Palladians were saying through her that's like this is a frequency war that's going to last about 18 months starting this year.
oh,
That there are
interesting.
two major frequencies that that's
Mhm.
how they looked at it. I mean, that's your buzzword, that literally,
Yeah.
they're competing frequencies in the universe, And we'll see, what unfolds, right? But
Yeah,
it's
I love that because I know that there's multiple timelines, right? And
mhm,
even when I do my predictions on my channel, I do like predictions. One thing that I always say is like, in this timeline, this is what I see and this is what I see, because they shift all the time. They shift all the time. And it is up to us. I mean, it really is up to us. Like, we can energetically shift towards certain
okay.
timelines. And it's if we could just there are certain forces that, again, I think this is the year where people are just going to wake up and be like, oh, we have been divided for 300 years. Why has that been like that? Why can we
Mhm.
not just get along? Remember, it's Pluto and Aquarius just alone is power to the people. It's all about the masses.
Mhm,
We
mhm,
have to,
revolution.
and it's like, when people start waking up, that the government works for us. Okay,
Right.
people forget that. The government has forgotten that, right? And I don't want to call anyone out, but I want to just make it clear that these are some of the bigger things that are going to start coming up. And
Yeah.
so it's again, buckle your seatbelt, put on your cool sunglasses, get ready for a
Get your
ride.
popcorn. Yeah.
Get your popcorn, make sure it's cheddar flavored. It's gonna be a ride. It's gonna be a ride. Yeah.
I think so. You bring up timelines. I'm just curious, one philosopher to another. Do you believe that the entire collective consciousness shifts timelines together? Do you believe that you're on one time, I'm on another timeline, that they're all multiple, and we'll just all end up at the end of the attraction? I'm just curious where your latest and greatest is on that particular one.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I think it's so okay, so okay. Yes, it's all together. Let's just that's yes, it's all together. I think that we can it's almost like, it's like being in a car, right? And you come to a fork in the road, but there's like 12 different directions you can go. I think
Mm,
it's up to humanity to decide which, all of humanity's in that car, and we can decide, but we have to agree, and then we
mm,
have to see eye to eye, and we have to do this together. And I think
mhm.
that, in we may have to leave some people behind, if that makes
Oh,
sense. Yeah.
yeah. Well, behind where Harris won. I mean, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is there a timeline where Harris won? You know?
So, um, there is, but we're not on it, and I don't
Okay, so
think
the collective changed the channel.
the
Okay.
collective moved in a different
Mm,
direction.
got you.
I think that individuals have different timelines, but it is
Mini timelines, yeah, within the big timelines, yeah. Mhm,
many timelines,
mhm,
where you have different past, different memories that, uh, sometimes I talk about deja vu. It's like when you have like
yeah.
it's when you have a glimpse of your other timeline, and
Oh,
um,
yeah. That's
yeah,
interesting.
that little peek into, oh, that's what my other life is like right now. That's happening in this other, lifetime, or other life, like other reality, or whatnot. But yeah, so let me give you an example. One thing that I did, um, I think I also mentioned this in the live stream. I saw who won, um,
Uh-huh.
the the presidency, and then a month later, it was not.
Oh, yeah, 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 I had that through Trump and Hillary. I
That's
was
what
like,
I was like.
solid Hillary, it's Hillary Clinton,
It
like, I'm
was,
like, strong
yeah,
Hillary, it's an absolute Hillary, I can feel like, no budge, it's absolutely Hillary, and then suddenly, like, I think it was October 1st, I'm like, I'm getting Trump,
and
you know?
yeah,
I,
mhm, mhm.
goosebumps and like, oh, come on. And I couldn't even believe it, but yeah. Okay. I felt that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that's what I mean. Like, there is a big shift on how people are feeling energetically, and you can't, even with Pluto and Capricorn. Like, I mean, that's another good, I guess, like, reference, is that it is breaking. It broke down a lot of structures and systems, and the way that we like, polls. We know polls don't work anymore, right?
Oh
We know,
yeah. Yeah.
that guy with his
The
13.
media doesn't work.
Yeah, media is, so there's a lot of new adventures for us, where
Mhm.
things are going to be completely different.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
regarding the timeline, yeah, there's and it's really funny because after that happened, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So then I did a tarot reading just to see. I was like, okay, that confirms it. who's
Ah,
gonna who's
who's
gonna
gonna win?
win? And
Interesting.
so I and it's one of those hard things where I don't want, like, my channel's not, it's, again, it's to inspire you, to empower you, to let you know what's happening, what you can
Yeah.
expect. It's
Yeah.
not to be political, it's not to be,
Yeah.
it's none of that. That's not what my platforms, so I never really bring that up.
Right.
But it is one of those things where it's so hard when all your friends know what you do and they're asking you, and I just kind of have
Yes.
to, you know, just say, listen, like, I don't know, whatever happens, it was meant to happen. Like, that's,
Right.
it's hard because um I I don't I I have to see it as, okay, there's something fundamentally wrong at the top.
Yep.
And if I'm seeing this as a positive, the only reason is because there's no other person that's going to go in there and just, like a horse and a, what is it? A horse in a china shop or whatever it's
Or
called,
Elephant in China Shop.
or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what's gonna happen. And I think that
Mhm.
there's gonna have to be a lot of things that, maybe that may have to be exposed. I know that I am not like, I'm not a person that's gonna be angry about it and hate on
Right.
it and feel fearful about it. I'm going with it. Why am I'm not gonna sit in low energy frequency
Yeah.
because this
Yep.
happened. So I
Yep.
have to see it as like, okay, if this happened karmically, what is the reason? And so, yeah, if if the other party had won, none of that would have happened. None of that would have happened.
Yeah.
And we
Complete.
still would have been in a place where nothing would have changed, where
Yeah.
the people had the power. Like, we elect you, you work for
Yeah.
us.
Right.
The things that you have told us in your speeches, in your debates, those are not things that we should up. Those are things you should be already doing. You shouldn't be proud of that. That's what you should be doing already.
Yeah.
Tell us what, and this isn't, again, not for, I'm not like, this is for any candidate, for anywhere, for
Yeah.
anything, right?
Yep.
That's your job. So I have to see it as like, okay, things are going to get a little bit hard because there's got to be some things that happen, but
Yep.
you're already seeing a lot of uh crazy things happening. So
Oh yeah, and we haven't had an inauguration yet. I mean, I look at Pluto in Capricorn, and the birth of democracy and that whole thing the last time, and
mm,
really just shaking up the whole world with the idea that a person had rights, huge, and then going to Aquarius and actually, and then France goes through revolution also. So there's this revolutionary
yeah.
spirit. I look
Mhm.
at Uranus in Gemini after World War II, where everyone is shocked to find out that there were concentration camps. Shocked. I mean, German citizens
Mhm.
were just stunned. Eisenhower made them, tour through the camps. Like, no, this went on down the street. This is what's
Yeah.
been burning all this time. So like, it's a similar time of sort of shocking revelation. Whereas, for some on Earth, it was rumored that was happening. For some, they were completely in the dark. So that sort of, and then look at Neptune and Aries in the Civil War, like the beginning of the Civil War, where it's
Mhm.
like, where suddenly everyone is fighting for these moral principles, Neptune. And that's what I'm concerned about. It's like, hopefully the moral principles of Neptune and Aries this time will be higher morals, higher frequency morals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Than to slave or not slave someone. But still, these three together is a deadly cocktail. I mean,
It
not
it
deadly, shocking cocktail. You're going to get knocked out. Don't drive.
Yeah,
Right?
it is. I'm monitoring, what is it, 9 degrees, Uranus and Gemini at 9 degrees. I think that's when it just like, oh, the heat is on. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I think that, again, because I am who I am, I always look at the positive. Anytime any of this
Right.
has happened, it's always been for the good. There's always been something great that's come out of
Yep.
it. But again, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you have to go through some hard things. But
Yep.
with Pluto at play now, it's interesting because
Mhm.
look at, I mean, 250 years ago, that's a whole other world. They
Yeah.
have not like what we have now. So
Yep.
how this plays out, it could be so very different,
Yeah.
very different. I'll just leave it at that. But you
Yeah.
you would get like
Oh
just
yeah.
think Zodiac
Well, I
and
mean, think of
yeah.
how many secrets and weirdness Aquariuses have in their life. Aquas are full of like shocking, weird, like not shocking, but it's like, really? They're just into some interesting, bizarre. So Pluto, I think, is going to reveal a lot of that,
Mhm.
for the society and whatnot. Are you a person that believes in Atlantis and the fallen continents and whatnot? There's a lot of talk that like this is
Oh,
also
yeah.
in a big cycle. This is like,
Yeah,
the bad guy Atlanteans are here with the good guy Atlanteans, and it's like really that battle again of frequency wars as well, where they literally use frequency to destroy civilization, and so
absolutely,
yeah.
1000%. And it's just such a it's so funny because the way that you asked it, b again, like, I feel like it's so esoteric, right? And I feel
Right,
like
right.
there's gonna be a point, like, people are going to understand that we're not that like, our Earth has been around for like, how
Oh
you
yeah, this
really think that
version.
we're the only, like, no, no,
Mhm.
no. So, it is something that, again, like, I love, like, Graham Hancock. I'm really into ancient civilizations, pre-ancient civilizations.
Mhm.
But yes, I am a very firm believer in that, and I do think that there is gonna be, and it's just, again, that's another battle is with the archaeologists, right? They're
Oh god, I
fighting
know.
against
I know.
they can't say the truth. They can't.
Well, who are
It's
they tied by? That's a whole
it
interesting conversation.
yeah,
Who's got
and
the
it
tongue? Who's owning the universities and all that sort of thing, right? But we
exactly.
all know that the tomb is like a three-story, a pyramid's a three-story tomb for one king. Like,
Yeah,
we all
right?
believe that, like, yeah.
I just can't believe that even AI, if you ask questions
Oh yeah, it's compelling. Yeah.
of it's just like people stop believing AI because they've been so trained to think that something's a certain way, where, I mean, some textbooks just still haven't even been changed. Some people don't
Mhm.
even realize
Yeah,
that, some
yeah.
particles are waves. Like, it's like, what is
I
going on?
know. Particles are waves. I know I do that
Like,
example all the time.
so I think that there is gonna be, there's a certain way that people think, right? And that's how they've been brought up their own lives. So they have
Mhm.
to think for
Yeah.
themselves at some point. And, we can reference me being brought up Southern Baptist, right? That
Mhm.
is,
Yeah, I was actually thinking the irony of that, right? Like, you've
yeah,
already lived it, so you're
yeah.
here to lead it, you know? Yeah.
So I think that a lot of people are going to see that they will have no choice but to think for themselves
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
2025. And
Yeah.
I'm not
Mhm.
saying that nobody does. There's certain people, and this is one of the reasons why I talk about frequency a lot, because it is something that's so infectious. Like, it's like
Mhm.
if you, for instance, went to Coachella, if you went
Mhm.
to
I'm just down the street.
see, yeah, if you went to see like one of your favorite bands, that is, when when your favorite band comes out on
Oh,
stage,
yeah.
the entire crowd goes, what, everyone's
Yeah.
frequency is through the roof.
Yes.
That's how people should feel
Yep.
every day, but we don't. And we
Yeah.
don't allow ourselves to do it.
Mm.
So I talk about frequency a lot because the more that I can have everyone here vibrating at frequency, they're going to have a impact on the people in their world.
Yep.
You see how it works, and then
Yes.
it's got to get around. Like, I said once, I think it was my last live stream. Think about if every world leader, if every billionaire, if they started talking about love, if they started talking
Yes.
about loving each other, if they start like,
Preach.
yeah, right,
Yeah,
like,
no, seriously, and it's back to the '60s,
raising
too, yeah. Mm.
raising your frequency. Think
Yep.
about how different our world would be, but they
Mhm.
don't, because there's a lot of other energies that
Mhm.
we've got to break through that energy, and it's very possible. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of just continue to raise your frequency. Have everyone else raise their frequency. Make everyone believe they're at a Coachella concert. That is what's going to work. And that's how we can control which timeline we go down, which path we go down. And so it's gonna take some time, but I
Yeah.
do believe that there's gonna be new leaders, the
Mhm.
underdogs, right? That do
Mhm.
truly rise.
New leaders, yeah, new leadership.
New
What
leadership.
what kind of I don't know if you do personal consultations or you have the time anymore. I know the inbox fills up, but where do you feel for the person who is awake and aware and willing,
Mhm.
not the person who's in denial, because I'm sure, people think differently. They're going to buckle down.
Uh,
Where do you feel like that? How do you raise your frequency? Like, how are you coaching an individual to actually raise the frequency? Coachella will work, but it's over in a couple days.
yeah.
Like,
No,
um,
that's a great question. It's case by case.
of
Yeah.
course.
The
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
the very first thing is self-love. You've
Oh
got
God,
to
I love it. Yeah, we
love.
are brothers. We are brothers.
You've
Yeah,
got to love yourself. You've got to be
you have
comfortable
to.
with yourself. You have to love yourself, and you have to allow yourself to do the things that you want
Yeah,
to do. You've got to follow
yeah,
your heart. You listen. We are only on this planet in this physical body once.
yep.
Once.
Mm-hmm.
Once. Why would you deny yourself joy? Why would you? So that's the
Yep.
first thing,
I
right?
love it.
The second
Hmm.
thing is take those little inspired actions, right? I
Hmm.
always say we're on a karmic journey. In Sanskrit, karma literally means action. And
Mm.
so take those inspired actions, compliment someone. That's something that I say all the time. Put it in your phone. Everyone's phone these days have little reminders that
Yeah.
notifications pop up. Just write compliment someone. Take that time out because it's that action that you take that is actually that's already raising your frequency. And then
Yeah.
you compliment someone. It doesn't matter if it's your sister, your brother, your lover, your mother, it doesn't, like the cashier at Trader Joe's. You compliment someone, you make their day. They're
Yeah.
in a good mood. They go out and they're in a good mood. They make someone else's day. Do you see how it works? Like that's how it
Mhm.
works. And so it's it's the smallest things that you can do, right?
I
Random
agree.
acts of kindness, but
Yep.
just even acts of kindness. That's
Yeah.
all it takes. That's all it takes. And so I've
Yeah.
had clients who have been so deep in fear
Mm.
and feeling that they're not good enough to do this or
Yes.
for some people it takes some time and it
Yeah.
takes those baby steps, but as long as you're actually taking those baby steps, you
Yep.
are already making a huge difference in your life. You're already moving in the direction that you need to go, and you're
Mhm.
gonna feel it. You feel it. You feel the buzz. It's like
Oh yeah.
you're high on life.
I completely concur. I think that's what nine's about is action. And I'm a person who'd rather start, fail, and then start again than not, because there's a thrill when you take that step. I mean, it empowers you and gives you the thrill for the next step. Yeah. And even the nano actions, especially with ourselves, the way we respond to ourselves, those little moments of whether you're going to ignore your pain or you're going to address your pain, that
Yeah.
little nano moment, I think, is quantum as far as the potential for you to change your life. People see like the big things like marry, not marry, divorce, quit. It's like, to me, it's like brush your teeth or not brush your teeth. Like, it's the
Mhm.
simple things. I'm on the same page. Yeah.
It
Um,
really is, yeah, and it is a matter of actually, because here's the thing, I mean, it's actually absorbing all of that because we're human beings, right? We have a range of emotions. There was a reason why we were not built as robots, and
mhm,
we have to feel them all, okay? And
mhm.
sometimes we do go through these hard moments. We do have
Yeah.
moments of maybe guilt or blame or shame or apathy or grief, whatever they is. But it's okay to feel them. It's okay to feel those emotions as
Yes.
long as you don't get stuck in them, as long as you learn from them, as long as you say, I never want to feel this way again. I'm always going to be vibrating at this high frequency. And when I say that, that is love, that's
Mm,
compassion, that's kindness, that's inspiration, that's everything that you would think high frequency is, right?
mhm.
Yeah.
And doing it frequently.
Yes.
I heard that you're writing a book.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
am. I am.
I'm too, but it's like a very Uranus and Gemini, right? I mean, I feel like Uranus and Gemini is also going to be like another Hay House moment. I think there's a lot of brilliant stuff probably going to come out that people just downloaded or remember from Atlantis. What's your in this day when people are watching tarot videos, not necessarily reading, what do you feel in your book that is important for the young people to learn? Like what are you harvesting there in knowledge?
So No, thank you for asking. That's a really great question. One thing that what's really funny, you bring up Uranus and Gemini.
Gemini,
I
yeah.
just tell you, I am a Gemini rising, 0
Oh,
degree.
it's heading for
So
you. It's heading for you.
it's that
Yeah.
Uranus, it's coming for me. That's gonna hit right at.
Are you getting closer to God energetically? I'm just curious, is your psychic awareness opening within your 12th? What do you,
Well, I've had my moon opposite my Neptune for. Well, I'm not gonna. Yes, yes.
okay.
Yeah, I'm like, what? Let's just let's.
Yeah, no, I just want to, yeah, I was just curious. I mean, I don't have any clients and someone as aware as you. So I was curious. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I feel I've had so much more energetic. Like so I'm one of those people that like true like I can walk into like I don't know like a hip restaurant, but I can know if like someone died in it or something. Like like I get
Oh.
that. Like it's so strange, but yeah, no, about the book. One thing that I wanted to do is, I feel like when I was young, I did not have, and nobody does in middle school
Mhm.
or high school. We're not taught things like astrology or intuition or frequency or sacred geometry, any of these like things that actually matter, ancient civilizations, right? None
Mhm.
of that. We're not taught any of that, and it's the most fascinating thing. Is the foundations of what we are. It's life,
Mhm.
and I write it for young adults because I want to slowly
Mm.
introduce it to that. I do it in a fun way. It's not like
I'm
preaching
sure.
it. Yeah, it's like a very adventurous like type, but um it is a way to introduce this into that generation that's already on the brink of like loving this,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Look at the TikTok numbers.
all
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
see. And the astrology is sometimes, beginner, like, simple compatibility and stuff. But as an astrologer, I'm like, this is a huge wave of a generation, that's taking this seriously from the get go,
oh
which
yeah.
is to me exciting. That's what I always wish for. Yeah.
It is very exciting, and I'm actually really glad that they've been doing. I think it was Newsweek that did a big story on it. How Gen Z is more into
Yes.
astrology and not religion, and I don't have any problem with it. Religion, like
Mm,
I always say,
I
as long as
do.
you believe in, yeah, well,
Yeah.
organized religion,
Right.
that's a whole other story. But I
Right.
always say, like, listen, like you can't change everybody, but like as long as someone has something to believe in and that's what they need,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
let them have that.
I
That's
agree.
good. That's good because I can't judge anyone for,
Yeah.
because I've been through it, but belief, everyone, it's just, you need to have belief. You need to have belief. You need
Mhm.
something to believe in. And,
Yep.
but like, don't be like delusional about it, right? Like, let's just,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's the thing. It's like back to like loving everyone. Like even like every religious text that's ever been written, one of the main takeaways is love thy neighbor. But
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's probably a good like 175 million Christians in our country that would shoot their neighbor
Right.
rather than
Right. Right.
love their neighbor because they love guns. And so
Mm,
it's just it's just this like, believe in God, believe in all that, but
mm.
do it for yourself. Don't do it because someone's telling you to. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Oh, yeah.
again, I have a history with it, so I'm
Right.
not,
Right.
being raised Southern Baptist, so I'm not going to get into it. But I I really think that things are going to start changing and
Mhm.
in 2025. What do you think? What is the one big thing that you see happening in 2025?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel, I mean, I can't put my thumb on it exactly, but I feel like we're going to see some sort of major power grab or attempt for major power grab,
Mhm,
to take back control of the narrative, so the
mhm,
drones look like one, what I mean? Like, that's interesting, big alien attack, real alien attack. I don't know what the specifics are, but I'm expecting something unexpected, maybe you and I would have expected or put on our roster. But I feel like it's just going to shift. It's going to shift into sort of chaos energy. Somebody's going to fire off that fire. I don't know what it'd probably be. I know exactly what it would be. People have all said it's politics and Trump and stuff like that. I kind of actually feel we did that in 2020, and I don't feel like that's going to be it. I feel it's outside of government is what it feels like to me. Most
Yeah.
likely an alien thing or something to that degree. Yeah.
Oh,
We'll
well,
see.
yeah.
Yeah. Once Jupiter gets into Cancer, okay, like people are going to be hot messes, because I feel like that's an indicator too, because Jupiter in Cancer to me is like knowledge over emotion, which is like it's time for everyone's EQ to go up, which tells me that everyone's EQ, is going to be in the toilet at first. So, I'm thinking it's going to be, kind of a sick headache as far as how much energy is going on, but I can't name this. Every time I've tried to predict it, I never predicted COVID. Like I remember when Jupiter and Saturn were conjoining on like January 9th of 2020. And I never predicted it was a virus released from China that would be that, that holy shift in power that ended up changing power structures. So I got to say, I've been an astrologer for, 18 years publicly, and I never actually predict actually how it unfolds exactly. It's always something that surprised me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I think 2025, it's so funny you bring up Uranus and Gemini and even with like Pluto and Aquarius, like the UAP thing. I think that we are like it's just yes, that is that is
You've
going to be
seen
a
the narrative
thing.
building, for a long time, Yeah.
Yeah, and I think and I'm trying and I did bring it up once in one of my live streams. It's like y'all just know they're on our
Yeah, I agree.
side. So whatever you
Right.
see that causes fear, it's not them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like we have advanced, like, I don't people understand the gravity of the advanced technology like our military has.
Right.
I don't think people can like even
Mhm.
grasp what they can do. The fact that they get $20 trillion a year anyway, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's absurd like the powers that they have. Even when you think about I think we talked about the internet earlier. When that came out, I mean, the military had it for 20 years before we
Yeah.
got it. Do you know what I mean? Like so they have so much and so just remember the UAP, they're on our side. They like us. They want us to
Yeah.
evolve. And so anything that any of y'all see that makes you feel like fear or whatever, that's not them. Okay. Just keep that in mind.
I
Keep
had
that
the
in mind.
opportunity to interview the Palladians through Wendy Kennedy, a channel. And what was interesting, I'll just share, is that the ambassador of the Palladians said, we've given the United States and your government a deadline, and if they don't disclose in 2026, we are going to, force the issue. Which I was like, fascinating.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like, yeah. They're like, so apparently it's our own
2026
bureaucracy is holding that up.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing about the guy. Like they it's about I think we only know like 70% of what's going on, that they tell us. And then I would say about like 20 to 30% are like just kind of like bent truths. Like there are flexible truths,
Oh
if
yeah,
that
no, I
makes
think they throw
sense.
out all sorts of confusing misinformation, so there it cannot be detected. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And again, it's just I think there's just something just so needs to change. And I think that everyone is aware of that, but it's not like their priority do you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna like go march
Yeah.
again, and I'm not gonna do that. And
I don't think any of us are. Yeah.
yeah, so
I think everyone's yeah. I think at this point, I want to see what just your opinion on this is. Like, it kind of comes down to live your life, right? Like, to some degree, we've given too much power to all that. Like, who cares? Like, really, the president is not our daily life.
Yeah. It's very interesting how even with all this God, just all this Mars energy and thinking about some of the predictions that some people made in the past because of Venus, and they were looking at all the charts. I was like, no, you're not getting it right. It's like this bro alliance. It's this tech bro billionaire alliance. It's like this all boys club that's anyway, I'm not, but basically, things are gonna be we're just like buckle up,
Mhm.
buckle up. Things are gonna get a little like like Mr. T himself is very unpredictable. He's
Mhm.
very unpredictable, and so I think that people can get a little. I think that when certain people are in power, I think that when they control the narrative, they can have people they can have people feeling certain ways, and I think that's really unfortunate because they they can really really make you feel a certain way, and if they don't feel like they're making you feel a certain way, they'll do something and make you feel.
They turn up the volume. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Although, we'll throw up a few times, and I think eventually get off that ride. I do see humans, Americans, all the time. Like, everywhere I go in public or whatnot, it doesn't matter what the topic is. It's like they're full of shit. Like everyone is pretty much agreed that they're full of shit, no matter who they are. So we're
Mhm.
waking up to it, and it's great. And you know what? They'll have you, Jimmy, to guide to the way.
Oh yeah,
You,
yeah, I'll be here.
yeah, totally. I love it. I'd love to have you on again sometime, and look forward to what your work does next. And I know you've given us a discount too for your merch. You got some cool merch on your site. Anything that you want to
Yeah, thank you.
pitch or tell us about?
Yeah, no, I just really, I'm very grateful. I thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm very
Okay.
excited to be here. And again, just everyone have an amazing, what is it, January 10th? Oh,
I know.
we
Yeah,
got that full moon coming up in a
up
few
on
days.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, just don't be hard on yourself. Don't be hard on
Yes.
yourself during this full moon. It is going to be, there's a lot happening. That's a loaded full moon. It is a
Yeah.
loaded full moon. I was like, what is going on? When I was doing my forecast, it was just like, okay, well, it's conjuncting Mars. Mars is going to be trining Neptune. The sun is trining Uranus. The moon is
Yep.
sextile Uranus. It's opposite Pluto. It's like it's like a big old party, but it's like, let's just, the moon obviously rules. It's just like, here's the thing. I have my Mars retrograde in Cancer and my chart 28 degrees. So this one's,
Whoa, you've had a
yeah.
return.
So I'm
Wow.
really I'm feeling it. I'm
Mm.
feeling it. So I can just say, like, just don't be hard on yourself.
Mm.
Everyone, don't be hard on yourself, because things are about to like take off. Do you know that with that Aquarius season? First of all, I'm an Aquarius, so I have to say, like, the best season of all. But we do
You
have,
Aquarians.
yeah,
You're
I know,
Leos in disguise.
but
You're
also I'm
Leos in
a Gemini
disguise.
rising, so I can just like, but there's so many great things to look forward to, and I
Yeah.
think that because there's such a, even this, like with the nodal shift tomorrow, there's so much happening in the next few days. It
Yeah.
can be a little bit overwhelming, and then
Yeah.
with the Pluto conjunction the Pluto cazimi that's happening on inauguration day, it's just another day where it's just like, that's big energy. So ever just prioritize you with, I call the when the north node's in Pisces, south node in Virgo, I call that the healing path. And so
It's great.
work on you, and you know this is a great time. This full moon is a great time to leave anything that you do not want to bring into 2025 with you. This is the
Yeah.
perfect time. Just leave all that baggage and work and again, prioritize you, but don't be hard on yourself with this
Beautiful.
full moon. I actually love this full moon that's coming up. It's exciting, it's stimulating, but it's also just so emotional.
It's like an
So
emotional bowel movement. It looks like it's gonna be there's gonna be a flush of a lot of stuff, but some people need
yeah,
it, and
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And for those who've already kind of scraped, it's gonna flush it away. I agree. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's gonna help in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that and that's really it. Feel free to visit me at
Yay.
my YouTube. Did
You
I even
too.
say it yet? The Tarot
Yep.
Ship to me is, but yeah, I don't know if I, but
Yes. Good.
so that's it, and that's like we and so. Oh, one thing that I was going to say,
Yep.
time is speeding up.
Yes. Oh my God. And slowing down, I think too. I'm having time moments where I'm like, whew, I'm like, it's a long night. It's like, it's been an hour.
There,
Like I'm
mm,
having weird shifts. Yeah.
there is a lot happening, and again, a lot of people are going to see a lot of things that just like I would never have imagined I would have seen this in my lifetime. That's the kind of energy we're moving into. And even March is it's a big month, and I feel like it's going to be here like that. You know, it's going to be here like that with the eclipses, and we already have some big transits that's happening then. But anyway, I can talk to you all day.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Christopher.
Thank you.
I love your backdrop. I was like,
thank you.
Yeah,
the desert here.
was
I'm hiding in the desert waiting for the apocalypse. So yeah. If you need a bunker, Jimmy, let us know.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Stay backstage so we can say goodbye to you. Everyone, Jimmy of the Tarot Ship. Check out his work. It's phenomenal. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Thank you.
Woo, that was good. Boy, him and I could talk forever, actually. That's the thing about these. And there's so much I want to talk about that I wouldn't necessarily say on the air, so we'll ask backstage. We'll have to tape that one of these days. But thank you, Jimmy. That was awesome. And I love talking shop. I have to say he's right. I got to say, I'm just going to go ahead and segue into a shameless plug for myself. This is a hell of a year, 2025, and that's why I've done the Countdown 2025 webinar tomorrow. Counting down. I'm going to go to bed and sleep really well so I can download this. He's right. It's kind of complicated. It took a lot of work actually to keep the presentation simple. To be honest, it took a lot of work to keep it simple. That's what I try to do. About 2.5 hours of a lecture, live streaming, people hanging out in the chat room, chatting it up, and also going over the key dates of the year. I like to be really practical in my webinars. You don't have to know all the planets and everything. So I learned finally after like 10 years of doing this, it's like people need to know everything. You just need to know the map through the jungle and what to watch out for, where the landmines are. And that's what I'm going to do for all 12 signs and give you some opportunities. I personally believe chaos is opportunity. That's the theme of our month here at Serious Joy. I've seen in history and studied history, things shoot up right in the background when everyone's distracted with something else. And you can take advantage of that for yourself. All 12 signs can, and catapult yourself to where you want to go. Dreams are meant to happen right now. And I think a lot of interesting phenomenon will unfold with all this vibration. We're talking about Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries and Uranus in Gemini. So give yourself a good gift. Remember, he said self-love. The most loving thing is to educate yourself and give yourself all the dates. That's at senseiChristopher.com. It's not too late. You can buy a ticket right now and get an email 5 minutes before this show tomorrow. It is recorded. You have access it for the whole year. And, not to make a threat, but I have a lot of work to do. And so this is a one-time to get in front of me and find out some information. All right. And then moving on, Serious Joy, our Zodiac Mega Monthly show with myself and Robbie Hunt will be going live this Wednesday. A Serious Joy subscription gives you all sorts of live events, including this one. Robbie and I will be on Wednesday to talk about the month of Aquarius. Jimmy was already talking about it. You'll also, as a subscriber, have little individual horoscopes for your sign, your rising sign. Look up your friends and family. You have access to all 12 when you are a subscriber. That will go live at 10 a.m. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I always kind of forget the times, but just sign up for Serious Joy and you will see for yourself. Sovereign Revolution. We are doing some cool stuff here. Krista Marie Miller is a psychic channel who channels Mary Magdalene. If you don't know, is we'll say better half of Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Better say. But, Mary Magdalene is coming on through her. It's a great format. Krista will talk on her own. And then she'll go into trance and she'll channel Mary, and Mary will speak on astrology. It's pretty amazing. You have to hear it to believe it. I recommend you come on down. Remember, you can sign up for Serious Joy for $3.99. That is on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, new episodes, teaching now about Aquarius. And if you were new to Serious Joy, we have a welcome committee. It's called the Welcome Party. Gwen English and Daiki Okamoto have recorded last Wednesday's Welcome Party, and I have come on as the special guest, but you may not know this. We do a lot of hand-holding in Serious Joy, and this is one of them. It's a live event on the first Wednesday of every month, and you get a full site tour, and it's interesting. This interview, I talk about why I started Serious Joy, the story behind it. It's a great way to meet new people, new freshmen in the group. And you, my friend, can advertise on Serious Joy TV. We're now opening up the floodgates and allowing people who have a spiritual business to advertise on Serious Joy. We have all ranges of prices, by the way. we've created something where someone who is a reader in Omaha, Nebraska can do an ad right here and find new customers. The internet allows you to reach customers that you wouldn't reach in your own town. We have a person who is in charge. Her name is Jenny D. And if you'd like to know more, email us at advertise@seriousjoy.com. We'll be rolling that out here in the next couple of months. And we're looking for some sponsors who want to shine and reach new markets. By the way, we are so grateful. Sharing is caring. And if you would kindly share us, that's the best thing you can do. Share us with a friend. We have horoscopes that come out. I cut them out every week. All 12 signs get cut out. And so if you'd like to share us with someone you love, you would do good karma for us. We appreciate it, and for you. We have a Facebook group, if you don't know. It's called seriousjoy.club, and you can hang out in this club. It's a cool club. We have worldwide Knights of the Shining Armor who are volunteers at Serious Joy. We kick out the trolls. I can't tell you how many trolls we kick out a day. It's a lot. But the point is, it's safe, it's cool, and you can advertise your own spiritual business for free. If you want to follow us on social media or anywhere, go to seriousjoy.social. You'll find our link tree, and we're adding new content to that as well. And if you'd rather listen instead of watch, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. I want to say special thanks to our co-executive producer, Diana Stefano, our graphic artist, AC Chico, our director, Adam Turner, our advertising genius that's come aboard, Jenny D., our teaching faculty, Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Gwen English, Daiki Okamoto, and we want to say very much a happy hello and welcome to our SJ Light Runners, which are the heartbeat of the light. Also, special thanks to all of our super friends out there chatting every week. We appreciate you and making this a community. We'll be back in 1 week with more. And until then, enjoy the full moon, live, love, be, and I love you.